Good evening, everyone. Welcome to your episode of FPL BlackBox ahead of the Blank Gameweek 29 deadline. My name is Az, and I'm joined by Mr. Mark Southerns himself. How are you, Mark?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, looking forward to the free hit business. I think I know what I'm doing, but there's going to be a lot of changes. Let's see what happens over the course of the 2 hours, shall we?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing who we can talk people into. And we're joined by the old money grabber himself, Mr. FPL Mode. How you doing, Andy?
Oh, Christ. I thought in my head, I was like, give it 10 minutes, he'll lead me into it. No, straight in. No, I'm good, mate. Thank you very much. How are you?
I'm all right. Yeah, you're the only one of us not on a free hit. You feeling kind of calm with that?
Yeah. Absolutely fine, especially after seeing your 2 free hits. I think it'd be absolutely fine.
3 green arrows for the 3 of us. That's got to be a black box first, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? I mean, and it's crazy. I mean, mine was the smallest ever green arrow, though, wasn't it? Really, really tiny. But yeah, I was happy to get one considering I took a hit. I think, did we all take hits?
Andy didn't. He wildcarded.
Did he?
Yeah. And
of course, the wildcard.
Easy way of avoiding hits.
Yeah. And then you've had an operation today. An operation.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I'm sat here with my foot in the air because I had a mini operation on my foot. So I'm just waiting for the anaesthetic to wear off about an hour into this. So we'll see how it goes.
So your foot's in the air. So you had problems with your foot, did you?
But I'm not going to go into details, but yeah, no, I had.
Did you put your foot in it yesterday? Maybe with a certain tweet.
There we go.
Oh, there it is.
There it is. There it is. No,
what was this about? Because Mark and I were like, "What is this?" We didn't even have any context as to what this tweet was.
We're removing ourselves from all obligations to this. We knew nothing.
Well, loads of people thought it was about BlackBox. Yeah,
I know.
That's why I was quick to be like, I'm staying away from this conversation. Nothing to do with us.
I was like, Az, please come back. You're like, nope. No, it's one of those things where I thought actually, you know, I obviously talk about FPL an awful lot, and it would be nice to maybe have something where, you know, I'm not going to shy away from it, make a little bit of money from it. And, you know, it's something where I put it up on there, £5 a month. And I was like, wouldn't it be nice if I could do something like that? And somebody approached me and said, do you want to set up a bit of a paid community, basically?
Who is this mystery?
I don't know. I really
Tony
don't know.
Soprano Backos.
But literally, I was just like, do you know what? Why not? Let's give it a go. And when you look at, you know, the people on the tweet that I tweeted out, yes, there were quite a few that obviously weren't very happy about it, but they're actually in quite the minority. And when you started talking to them a bit once they tweeted, most of them kind of backed down and were like, actually, we don't really care what most people do with their money. I think they get very, very upset very quickly as soon as you mention money. But if you look around the FPL world, there's so many communities and so many things that are paid for, and people absolutely love being in them. So I don't see why it's a massive stigma against it. And I had an awful lot of people in my DMs saying, I don't see what the problem is with a lot of this. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's something I want to do, and I just thought I'd see what would happen. I knew I was going to get poachers for it, and I knew there was going to be backlash.
Do you reckon we're on the clock tonight? We're getting charged by the minute. If so, we better cut it back from 2 hours.
I know, yeah.
He might charge us the fortune for his presence.
What is the FPL community? Like, what is it, like a chat room or?
No, it's nothing massive. I think, to be fair, some of my wording on it was probably like people were like, oh, I think a lot of people thought that maybe I was kind of broaching the subject because FPL might be becoming like a paid thing, and some people thought Twitter might be, but it's literally just like something where it could just be a few people in a chat room. It's not really a chat room. It's a website that's got, like, you know, you can do videos, you can do
OnlyFans.
you can do all that kind
You're
of
setting
stuff.
up an OnlyFans.
Yeah, it's OnlyFans. Exactly.
I knew this. I knew the day would come.
It's me and it's Mark getting into FPL mode over and over again, but it's but you know, and people are allowed their opinions about it, and they've definitely told me their opinions about it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
my biggest problem with it was that you didn't put a £0 option, and in the essence of, you know, research, what are those options? You know, they just irritated me. I'll give you a £5 a month and not post any more stupid polls, to be honest.
I tell you, I'm not gonna comment, as because, you know, I've made some faux pas on Twitter, so I know what it's like. Especially when it comes to money. I mean, everyone knows though, don't they? When you go to the FPL community and hint that you might be making some money out of spending some time on FPL, People don't like it.
Anyway, shout out to our members. Thank you all for
that. Exactly.
Who's our sponsor this week, guys?
Amazing. We are going to get into some actual FPL content in a second. I just had a super chat from Steve M, although it's in the wrong place. I don't need to put that up there. Barnes banter is all welcome.
Oh yeah, it's Steve. Yeah, it's him who did it.
Absolute classic. If anyone's got any more Harvey Barnes banter, you see, I tweeted and made a joke, forgetting that people on Twitter don't all watch BlackBox, and I tweeted because I think Barnes got an injury, and I was like, "Oh, time for Gordon, Mark." And the amount of comments I had of people saying, "Well, actually, Gordon's now picked up an injury," and all that. I was like, "Oh, it's Harvey Barnes banter."
The world doesn't listen to BlackBox as, unfortunately. So
it's a shame, isn't it? Johnny Tinker says only Fandies, which I like. You can have that one. Very good. Let's go into last game week then. I got a green arrow, right, and I got like 80k, and it was all fine. I mean, Son and Palmer kind of carried me through, but my actual decisions that I made were an absolute disaster. For the podcast, I had Neto in goal, Gabriel, Kirkes, Doty, Son, Saka, Foden, Palmer, Haaland, Watkins, and then Solanke captain. My two big decisions were whether to do Kabore to Kirkes for a hit, and then whether to play Gabriel or Kabore once I'd done the hit. And both decisions were terrible. And, not go 8 points on the Kabore, playing Kabore over Kirkes because of the hit as well. And then another 3 points, if I just played Gabriel. And then, just to top it all off, of course, I benched Garnacho for his 9 points and don't take the risk of playing him over Foden. So, it's like one of those ones where it's like 8 points, 9 points. Sometimes, most weeks you feel like you're going to get one of those 50-50s right. Nah, I've got them both completely wrong. 17 points down. Good week. But
you can't blame yourself for Kirkes, I don't think. A lot went in.
A lot
for
are
him.
blaming me for Kirkes.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
I don't want to talk about Sabani at all today because I am so annoyed because it was such a scrappy goal, and then when I saw him wheeling away, I was just like, no.
Did you see his family was in the crowd for the first time ever as well? Yeah.
That's quite cute.
Did you not know that? That's why I went for him.
Unbelievable.
It really, really annoyed me going get him scoring. I did Q&A with Sam last week, and I said I was going for Kirkes, or because at the time I was pretty much about to do it, and I was like, if Sabani scores, I'm deleting my team. That's it. It's one goal that will probably ever score in his career, and it's obviously going to happen this week, and it happens. Like, come on, absolutely ridiculous. Mark, we've got 10 of 11 of the same players. One extra man got the same points, so. Yeah, talk us through it. 64.
Neto in goal for me with 4. Kirkes, Gabriel, Doughty. Bailey played in front of Foden. Palmer, Saka, Son, Watkins, Haaland, Solanke. Yeah, disappointing. But, it's another green, which is where I was with the hit. I took the hit for Kirkes, brought Neto in as well, so that was the hit. I was always going to roll the dice with the more attacking option with Bournemouth. I know he wasn't great. I know his numbers weren't great, but he was playing Sheffield United and Luton. So, his numbers haven't been great to this point, but he's about to face the two of the weakest defences in the league at home, back to back. So you go with the option more likely to get the attacking return. And of course, he wasn't the one who got it. So, it's one of those things, isn't it? But I'm not. I'm at peace with it. It's fine. Up to 11.7, 11k. And then into the free hit this week, which I think picks itself because I've got only, 4 or 5 players. So I can only get to 7 with a -4, I think. Everything tells me to play the free hit, and we'll be looking at that later.
Jamie Jam as only went Kirkes because Mark went Kirkes. What a load of crap. I was on the Kirkes train way before it was cool. Why am I even fighting that? I don't even want
Did you put it on the screen?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Only because I didn't do it because of bloody Mark. Absolutely not. You said the free hit picks itself, Mark. You mean the actual playing it? The actual picks you've gone for are a little bit out there.
Yeah, I saw Andy post on Twitter this week, one of his wiser posts this week. He said that you don't have to take too many differentials for your free hit because doing the free hit is a differential in itself. Kind of agree with that, but I think that because it is one game week, it's one of those scenarios where you know, the models and the content creators, well, they will have their favourite players. But in a one game week scenario, it's unpredictable, right? So you could roll the dice a bit on a few players, and I think that's what I'm probably going to do. I'm not going to go with all the obvious picks. I'm not going to go with a template free hit. I'm going to take some calculated risks in one or two positions, I think, and I think that's okay. I think it just injects a bit of fun into it as well. Like, Bowen, if I don't get him, could get a hat trick, but I don't think that's likely. And if he does, then and I go Piquet or Kudos, then hopefully they get some points if Bowen did get a hat trick.
Kirkes was supposed to be fun though.
Yeah, I know it can hurt you, but it's like where we are in the season, like, you know, with 10 game weeks to go, and I'm 11k, and I'm, you know, I'll come off the back of a few green arrows now, but I want to push it a little bit. I don't think I want to go for the template free hit. I don't want to go for the players that a lot of the non-free hitters will have, not all of them anyway, and I want to take some risks that I think are lower level risks. I'm not going to go crazy, but I think it's worthwhile. I don't know. Andy obviously differs. Andy would go play a straight bat with that, but that's the kind of advice you would give to your £5 subscribers.
Unnecessarily harsh to Andy. You had a good week, Andy. The wild card came in.
Yeah, no, I was fairly happy with the start of it, to be fair. 74 points. Neto with 4, Doughty with 5, Zabarnyi with 8. Obviously, you know, he had the underlying numbers, so that's why I went with him. No, genuinely, like Zabarnyi, I picked him because obviously this is a wild card, so I need to keep him moving forward. And I did think Kirkes was a good one for the week, but not for moving forward. So that's why I went with Zabarnyi, basically. Gabriel with 1, Saka with 2, Bowen with 2, Palmer with 13. A lot of people that wildcarded didn't keep Palmer, so I'm very happy I kept in. Sommer 17. Yeah, exactly. That's what you pay your £10 for, keep it to Barney. Morris with 4. That was quite disappointing, to be fair, because Luton obviously scored a few goals and he did nothing. Solanke with 16, Watkins with 2. I'm happy with how it started, and I'm looking okay moving forward. For this week, I'll have 10, most likely Solanke to Tony, and then 10 this week I think is fine. And then I've still that was the other thing with this wildcard is I had 13 million in the bank, so I've got enough money to do Bowen to Salah in 30 and Watkins to Haaland in 31.
Like we said, all that planning. What does that keep flashing up on the?
Because I'm going to keep putting it up, mentioning I'm 11k.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. The irony of it.
Very clever. That's very good. A lovely super chat from Nigel the Crab. Thank you very much, as always, my friend. It was something I wanted to raise with you off the back of this. I mean, this is now another double game week that we've had, which has been pretty disappointing, right? I mean, there's been like if you had Semenyo over Solanke, you were laughing. I saw a few Semenyo triple captainers out there who'll be absolutely kind of delighted with that. Obviously, like Barkley scored, and there was a couple of players that did all right, but on the whole, it was pretty rubbish, wasn't it? I mean, we saw quite heavy rotation for Bournemouth in the second game, like Kluivert and then Tavernier, but we kind of thought that anyway because they're a team that does rotate in midfield. Anyway, we're never going to stop chasing double game weeks, though, are we? Like, they're part of the reason why FPL is so fun. I loved watching that game, that Bournemouth Luton game. I mean, first it was a brilliant game anyway, but like, who's going to be watching Bournemouth Luton and if we don't have FPL assets involved? I have to go out and be sociable with someone. It'd be awful.
I'm hoping people do stop going for double game weeks this year because you do have to go for them. And like, you know, I had 5 players to play plus captain on Wednesday, and it was lovely. It was really nice, like gearing up for that game, knowing you've got that many players playing. And I think it has been a bit rubbish this season for double game weeks. It hasn't been what we wanted, but a lot of those have been like injuries as well. Like the Liverpool one was massive injuries, wasn't it, to Jota and Darwin? Otherwise, they might have done okay. But I don't know what Mark thinks, but if there are people that are starting to go off double game weeks and maybe not invest as heavily in them, I'm quite happy about that because I'm definitely going to be going for them still.
Yeah, it's part of the makeup of what makes FPL fun, isn't it? And the fun is gradually getting sucked from the game as it is, right? Without us not going for double game weeks. With
all right, that's not my fault again, Mark.
No, well, all these content creators charging for content. But yeah, it's I think that you kind of get these dream scenarios, don't you? You look at a double game week and think, oh, that could be so good. Imagine this and imagine that. We do that anyway of our teams in a single game week, but when they've got 2 fixtures, you think, oh, I'm going to break the 3-figure sum, 100 points and all that. And Yeah, it's let us down this year, and it's not a new thing, is it? We've said this season after season on here, haven't we? As like you make plans for the double game week, and then when you get there, it disappoints. I think this time, both of us, because we're free hitting in 29, didn't do too much planning. We took hits, but it's not like we've kind of stuck to a strategy 4 or 5 game weeks ago, and then we've got to the double game week and it's let us down, and in that time we could have capitalised by not having that strategy. I think we've always said, haven't we, be mindful of that, because we know that double game weeks can let us down, and when you master plan, as we like to call it, when you plan 4 or 5 game weeks in advance with the idea that you're going to have these 7 or 8 double game week players, and because of that you're going to make transfers targeting that, it's dangerous when you do that, because it has the tendency to fall flat like it did this week.
Well, we tried to avoid that and go for players like Hwang, and then Bowen scored a hat-trick.
Yeah, I know. It went against us that time, didn't it? But yeah, it's been very FPL these last few weeks.
It has.
The unlikely has happened. The variance has been quite cruel. Not to the point of massive swings, but I guess that Bowen one was a big one, wasn't it?
Yeah. Jim says, how did I watch the match? No, I waited and then watched the extended match highlights afterwards and watched those legally.
Right.
Your Honour. We had another question. Yeah, Mark, the Kudus assist. I sent you a message after it when I saw it.
Yeah, no
and
assist.
you straight away was like, yeah, that's fine. I agree. Come on.
No, it was no way an assist. Right, the rule is when there's a defensive touch, whenever a defender touches it, no matter how minor or major, you have to decide whether or not the destination of the pass or the target of the pass was the goal scorer or the goal scorer's area. So the question is, did Kudus, when he went to knock the ball in, did he aim for either Danny Ings or for Danny Ings' area of the pitch? I know it's not easy to tell, but in this case I think it was, because the deflection happened almost immediately on Kudus, attempting the cross. It span and it slowed the ball down. It took the ball outside the area, or further outside the area, to Ings, who rifled it in. He was aiming for the 6-yard box, I think. I think that's pretty clear. Don't know who he was aiming for, but he wasn't aiming for Ings.
Do you see it,
He wasn't aiming for Ings' area.
I did, yeah.
What do you think?
I didn't think it was an assist in real time, to be fair.
No.
I thought it was one of those ones where I thought it was going to be a non-assist and it was all going to kick off, and obviously that is what happened. But yeah, but I've seen worse ones be given, to be fair. I have seen some that are a bit more contentious that have been given, so yeah. But I'm not that surprised. No. Mark's shaking his head.
It's fine. It was a straightforward one for me.
I think I think I still maintain that the rules should change to allow things like that to be an assist, because he made the goal and the goal happened because of Kudus' assist, no matter how you look at it. So I'm annoyed, and I don't even own him. But yeah, if that happened to one of my players, I'd be going absolutely mad, like a certain Edison last year. Don't know if you remember that one, Mark.
Yeah, I now have a theory as to why that wasn't given. It was because it was it's seen as a defensive error, and therefore
you're still looking into it.
Yeah, I'm still looking into my lawyers are constantly working on this, and that's the latest.
Try and get that point I beat you by last year.
Yeah,
overturned.
I'm not letting it go. Andy, if you lost to Az by a point on the final day, you'd be bringing in lawyers, wouldn't you? Surely.
That'd never happen to me. Wouldn't let it happen. I take multiple hits to lose by 15 rather than...
What, you mean you could to claw back a 100-point deficit and then to lose by 1 point on the final day? Yeah, I mean, that would never happen, would it? Let's be honest.
The heroic doses say, Mark, with all due respect, that rule makes no sense. I don't make the rules. I just have to try and explain them. That was my job back then, and I still like to
I just love whenever anything happens, people come straight for you, don't they? They're like, right, where's Summons? Bring him in.
Everybody's asking what your rank is as well.
Oh, it's 11k.
11k,
Oh,
wow.
Yeah,
You should mention that more. That is a very good
I
rank.
know.
No
I want to
idea.
throw it in there. I didn't want to mention it, but yeah, now someone's asked. So it's fair enough.
Also, someone says you're looking very neat, Mark. Your jumper's very nice.
Yeah,
Kind of.
I don't mind it. From Next again.
Next
You know,
again.
your favourite store.
Other retail shops are available.
Yeah, are available. Yeah. Ka-ching.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
So what does this mean for the great and the good? Not a whole lot. Everyone had kind of quite similar weeks, actually. Obviously, I was near the bottom, which is, typical. I think only Seb and Zophar did worse than I did in the end with 60. Well, Mark and I, we drew on 60 as well. I forgot we both took the hit. But yeah, I'm near the bottom. Only FPL Guns took a risk on Morris. Everyone else went for Solanke. I think there was one Semenyo in the league, which was Tom Freeman, I believe, had Semenyo. So he targeted the
that's
attack.
right.
rather than the defence. So yeah, well done, Tom. Andy, you're doing about as you were in this, but still 36k. You've got to be pretty happy with that. Yeah, only 3 red arrows.
Yeah.
Overall, so you're getting closer to Seb as well. You must be
I know.
eyeing him up.
Yeah, well, yeah, always. But no, he's on free hit this week, so obviously I'm expecting to lose a little bit of ground on him this week. But it'd be interesting. I needed this week to be good, having played my wild card. If I ended up with just kind of like a grey arrow this week, I wouldn't have been very happy. So yeah, no, I'm happy to have pulled back a little bit, but we'll see how it goes moving forward now.
Yeah, and quite a few people sold Palmer. So although the scores are here, Palmer and there's still a few people out there without Son as well. So there's someone in my uni league who's been doing really well all season. He listens to this podcast. He's taking it really seriously. Yeah, he didn't have either of them. Brutal week for him. I think got like 28 points or something like that. Ouch.
It's funny, isn't it? We talk about everyone's team being the same, and that we go, oh, some people sold Palmer, some people sold Son. It's like, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
A bit of variation. It's like we shouldn't.
And then you get punished instantly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like that, isn't it? It's been like that this season. It's like the one little step away from the template, bang, damaged. Absolutely ruined your season or your game week for sure. But yeah, and it has been like that for people who dared to leave Palmer on the bench or even sell him or dared to go without Son. They got really hurt in the last couple of weeks. So shame. It's one of those seasons.
Yep. So now we're plotting for the free hit, like I showed last week. I think it's around 40-ish% of the Twitter kind of fantasy football scout crowd looking to free hit this week. So kind of quite split, sort of 50-50 between those who are on and aren't. Obviously, we need to think about which players to target. We're going to start with defence, where I think people are having quite a bit of issues trying to find some decent defenders to have. If we look at the season data, it's actually Forest out of the teams that have got a game that come out really well on this. They're 8th over the season, with Villa in 9th. Burnley and Luton, probably the team to target if you're looking at this kind of data for they're in 18th and 20th as well. But yeah, Forest Mark in 8th. Surprised?
Yeah, I mean, data-wise, we've done all right defensively, but we've been making errors. I did a study this week of our data, and we've made 4 errors leading to a chance. All of them actually led to a goal. So I think we're only one of 2 teams where every single mistake we've made has led to a goal in the Premier League. And then big chances conceded since Nuno came in, where only Arsenal have conceded fewer. They've conceded 8 big chances since Nuno came in. We've conceded 18, and Man City have conceded 19 big chances. The difference is, from 19 big chances, Man City conceded 8 goals, and from our 18 big chances, we conceded 20. So in other words, whenever Forest make a mistake or give a team a big chance, they're getting punished. So is it, does that and this data suggest we've been a bit unlucky and that maybe it could turn and we could get a few clean sheets? I don't know.
Is that through the goalkeeping? Is a lot of that?
Yeah, the goalkeeper has been a problem for the start of the season. I think that's corrected now, and I think some worldies have gone in against us. So I look at Guimaraes' goals in the home game for Newcastle. I look at Mopé's goal against us at Brentford when they beat us. So yeah, I think we have been a little bit unlucky. That doesn't mean I'm going to back our defence this week necessarily, but actually when you look at what's on offer, they are one of the best defences probably. And it's, what's significant here is the teams that are playing this week, look, they're all in the bottom half or midway, aren't they? So it is, as we like to say on here, slim pickings.
Who are the defenders, if you're picking a Forest defender, who are you going for? Murillo and Sells? Is that it?
I think Bolly will play this week, and he'll have a set piece threat. And as we saw against Bournemouth, Bournemouth had 11 corners and got chances from 7 of them. So I do think, although Luton are a side that we associate with being dangerous at set pieces, because of the injuries they've got at the back and the actual disorganisation that causes, and the lack of height, I think Bolly could be a threat to them at set plays if he plays. But he's only a short-term bet. But on a free hit, not a bad option, because I think he will start. Toffolo is probably the safest pick, or Williams. They both get forward. Williams probably gets forward more, and because Williams is playing on that right-hand side behind Elanga, I think that's what will happen. That'll be a key area of threat to them, because Doty will get forward and leave gaps, and I think Elanga and Williams could be a real problem for Luton. So I'd probably go Williams.
Is he safe?
Yeah, he starts for sure.
He starts. Okay. Any Forest players, Andy? I'm guessing not.
Not defenders. I got Elanga, but I haven't got any Forest defenders.
Yeah.
I was looking the other day, and I think the highest percentage clean sheet chance this week for the teams playing is 31%, which is Spurs, and the rest are kind of 25 or lower. And it just doesn't seem a week to invest in defence. There are obviously players you can, like for instance Porro and Udogie and players like that, but I just think this isn't the week. Obviously, budget isn't really much of an option this week, is it? Because those high-profile players we're obviously not picking, but I still don't think anybody's really going to invest too much in defence. I mean, you probably want a Spurs defender, maybe a. Oh, sorry, I was trying to think what I was saying.
All the painkillers are kicking in.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe a Forest defender. But I mean, I was going to ask you two actually what your opinion was on. A lot of people are having that kind of discussion about Porro and Udogie. Spurs have apparently the best chance of a clean sheet this week away to Fulham. A lot of people straight away go for Porro. But I think if you look at the way Udogie's played recently and the fact that Porro's kind of been off set pieces, I think Udogie's kind of edging it for me now. I don't know what you two think, because you two are actually on free hit.
I think the data shows that we're going to look at later, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. We're going to talk about it a bit. I was very surprised when both Mark and I have got Udogie in our defences, and before anyone jumps on the Kirkes, recopying, there's not much in it, because if you look at the stats, which we will do in a bit, Porro does come out slightly on top, I think, but there's not much in it. And if you look at the stats in the Fantasy Scout members area, you look at his total number of shots, XGI, all that kind of thing. It looks favourable for Porro. But whenever I watch Spurs play, Udogie is like striker. Yeah. He's like bombing ahead of Son at times, like just camped in the penalty area, and that is borne out in the stats as well when you look at penalty area touches and things. So I think they're both good options. But yeah, we'll talk a bit more about Udogie and Porro in a bit, because I think I think that's an important choice to make that we're all going to get wrong, no matter who we go for.
The thing is with me, that's an example of what I'm talking about at the top of the show when I said I might take some calculated risks, and that is that I know that non-free hitters will be taking Porro into this game week, and a lot of the kind of, shall we say, the masses on a free hit will probably go Porro. So going Udogie, that is covering the same team, and getting perhaps similar or very minor difference in goal threat, but having a differential that could make a difference in terms of EO. So that's an example of what I mean. I don't think that's a big risk to go Udogie over Porro, but it could be effective because of the ownership.
Yep. So looking at the defence, I mentioned Burnley and Luton over the season. They're in the bottom three for that XG conceded on penalty per 90. If we look at the last six, Luton are still bottom. Luton defensively at the moment are definitely a team that we need to target. And that is where the free hit allows you to get players in, because non-free hitters are just not going to be having Nottingham Forest players unless you wildcard last week and got Elanga, Andy.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
But it looks good. It looks good for returns for Forest this week.
But Doughty's going to be a lock in everybody's free hit, aren't they? Isn't he?
He has to be, yeah.
Yeah, I would have said so. Yeah, so it's interesting, obviously, how bad they are. But then he did it against Bournemouth. He obviously got the assist and got you 4 points. But yeah, I agree. I think Forest, if you're on free hit this week, I think Forest attack is going to be there. I mean, Mark must have triple Forest, I'm assuming. You got Wood tonight, Mark?
You've been waiting for that, haven't you?
I have, yeah.
29 minutes
on a post-it note.
That's what they pay for. That's what they pay the £5 or the £10 for. Depends what area of members you got.
Andy fans.
I'm going to have 3 Forest players, and at the moment it's between whether I go for Wood or Williams as the third one. I look at this and 4.3 big chances per 90 over the last 6 is absolutely crazy, isn't it?
And it's disheartening as well, isn't it? You lose, because they had such a good comeback draw against Crystal Palace, and they go into Bournemouth, 3 goals in the first half. They looked absolutely brilliant, and then just completely threw it away. Like such a shame. So I think Forest players are a good pick this week. Interesting with Brentford as well. We know obviously they've got big injuries in defence, but you see them falling down this table. They're 17th over the last 6. Okay, they've had quite tough fixtures, but again, looking at Burnley and thinking, quite a few people are going for this double Brentford, clean sheet, which seems when you say it doesn't exactly sound massively inspiring with Flecken and like Regulon or Rawstev or something like that. But I like the look of Fofana. I mean, he's first on my bench at the moment, and I feel like he's gonna punish me there because I think Burnley get one. He looks good. He looked really good in their last game.
Yeah, it's Wood or Fofana for me. I've not made up my mind yet there. But I think you're right. I think Burnley will score one. I think I've gone for a 2-2 draw in this prediction wise.
Yep. Andy, Fofana, any interest?
Yeah, I think he's shown flashes that he could be a player that obviously scores a few goals from until the end of the season. I think I'd be hard pressed to pick him over the other 11 players that I've looked at, and obviously because I don't think but I think on the bench is probably the most I would do. Are you tempted to put him into your 11 at all? Like, who would he come in instead of?
I've got a potential spot.
Oh, you waiting for Mark to do that before you?
Oh, this is... All right, just get your tweet back up.
Lovely.
No. I'll stop.
There's two spots in my team really that I'd change. The rest of it's pretty locked in, or like Porro and a doggy or something like that. And maybe the goalkeeper, but yeah, there's like 4 players. I think I've gone off Morris. I'm off the Morris train now, so it's 3 players really that I look for. But yeah, I think Brentford and Burnley looking poor. Also Villa falling down to 14th as well over the last 6. That's interesting given now they're playing West Ham. I mean, West Ham are actually on fire in the Europa League last night, and with Kudus, with Bowen, Paqueta's back. Although he got a bit of a knock, didn't he? But we think he's going to be all right.
He took him off early because he had an injury that they're managing. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. FPL Scope says Fofana's my captain this week. Might as well have some fun on a free hit.
Yeah.
Brentford have kept 4 clean sheets all season. Interesting. I like that.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, it's like obviously Forest going to Luton, it's a must-win game for both teams. But arguably Burnley at home to Brentford, they've got to win that. Burnley have got to win that game to have any chance of staying. And maybe I don't think they've thrown the towel in yet. So I think they'll look at that and think that's a winnable game against a Brentford defence that will give up chances. And as we're going to see later, like everyone's probably going to have Tony on the free hit, and a lot of people are going to transfer him in. But his data's really poor.
Really poor.
Yeah.
Really poor.
So I think that result isn't a foregone conclusion at all. I've gone for the draw, and I do think Burnley will have a fair crack at it. Yeah, I mean, this is one. I've just realised there's one black box where I actually can talk quite a lot about Forest because everyone wants to know what players to get.
Yeah.
And as you see here, if you look at the big chance conceded per 90, we are second there to Arsenal. 1.17, Arsenal 0.33. Do you know? I looked at the data. Arsenal have only conceded 4 big chances away from home in the last 6 away games. It's absolutely crazy. Yeah, I mean, their defence and their numbers here are just off the charts, aren't they, for defensive data?
It's a good spot with that big chance because you put 90 for Forest, though. Like 1.17, that seems very, very low. Like that being better than Man City. I mean, Arsenal is just crazy, like you said. But, beating Man City, for example, we're just all backing Luton to score, aren't we, in that match? But
I think they will get one, but I think we're going to win the game. We're going to score more goals than them because I think defensively we're not bad, whereas I think their defence, because of the injuries mainly, is really prone and is there for the taking. And I think that the attacks are quite even. I think that they've got the set-piece threat and Morris is going to be a threat there, and Doughty obviously with his delivery. But Forest have got the pace and a bit more of a cutting edge, I think. So I think a lot of people are going to have 3 Forest players. It's just whether they have 2 attackers and 1 defender or 3 attackers. We'll have to see.
Yep. I did a bit of digging into the Scouts members area. Obviously, you can look at defensive data. You can look to see whether teams have certain defensive weaknesses across different kind of areas. I looked at chances conceded on the left, on the right, through the centre, and then set pieces as well. And then I marked anyone kind of in the bottom 5 for those metrics. So West Ham, I mean, the defensive numbers for West Ham were really poor. Even chances conceded on the left, 16th in the league. On the right, 18th. And then through the centre, they're actually the worst team at conceding chances through the centre. So who can that benefit? Well, Villa are a bit funny on the left because they haven't really got anyone. Ramsey's a doubt, isn't he? Tielemans that plays there, but they might need to bring him kind of into the middle. So I think if you're looking for if you're looking to take a bit of a risk, going for a Dean or Moreno down that left looks quite good. Who starts there though?
I saw as the FPL villain said, Diaby might start on the left. I saw his team tonight. So
yeah, if
with
he
Bailey on the right.
does, and I think he looks a pretty decent option. But Watkins, obviously, he's the central figure. I think, if you were thinking of moving against Watkins, he's got a bit of a gashed leg or a hard on, as Emery as Emery called it in his.
What was that about?
I'm trying to say a hard one, right? As in like a.
Is that what you said?
I think
hard on.
But I think going against Watkins with that data looks a bit.
I would have loved to have seen that on FPL, the yellow flag, and then 75% chance of playing hard on. Yeah.
I mean, Emery's going to get slaughtered in the dressing room for that, isn't he? His own player, or do you reckon they're too polite?
So. Oh God,
so funny. But yeah, I mean, what do you think of the Dean Moreno thing? Would you be willing to take a risk? I mean, it's more likely going to be Dean, isn't it? Because Moreno's played in the Europa League last night.
You'd have thought so, but genuinely, like we've been saying about Moreno for ages, haven't we? That he's a risky pick because Dean has played well when he's played. I personally, I wouldn't be picking either of them because of the risk of not getting them in. And also, the other problem is they do tend to go off on 70, 75, and you get the other one. So whichever one you go for, it's not like you can go for both, put one first on your bench and you get the other one. They're going to be coming on for each other. So I don't think I would go for that unless we had something. But because obviously they played, I think he kind of got his mini press conference on the night, didn't he? Kind of saying, how are you preparing for West Ham? So I don't think we're going to get any indication of anything to do with Villa. So yeah, I don't think I'd go for either personally.
Yeah, fair enough. Just what I suggested.
But I'm not on free hit, obviously.
Yeah, it's a gamble because they don't play zero, do they? They play 30 minutes, 20 minutes, or something. So you're massively gambling. Luton are poor across the board. There's probably, as Blore points out, looks like we should target players who play either on the left, centre, or right against Luton. 18th for chance on the left, 17th for chance to concede on the right, 18th for the centre, and 19th for set pieces as well. But again, it just really frames that you can't really go wrong with any of the Forest attackers. You could go for Elanga, you could go for Hudson-Odoi, Gibbs-White, obviously on the set pieces. Wood's going to be on the end of everything. Very tempting.
Yeah, it's down to minutes. I think there's a chance Origi could start on the right and Elanga will go left, but hopefully not. Hopefully Elanga does start on the right because that's where their weaknesses are. So, I think Elanga and Williams down that side could cause them problems. Hudson-Odoi is not as fast as he used to be, but he's definitely tricky. If he can, we were talking on the Forest podcast to do about him isolating Burke, who's the right-sided centre-back. And of course, on the left side, they've got, I think, a Japanese international playing for Luton who's made his debut at Bournemouth, who struggled in that game, had to go off. Don't think they've got any injuries back. So it's a real makeshift back three for Luton that you'd think Hudson-Odoi, Gibbs-White, Wood and Elanga would have some joy from.
You think those three start?
I think it's going to be Elanga, Hudson-Odoi and Wood, the front three, with Gibbs-White behind. And I think if Wood does play, Gibbs-White will be close to him. So he'll play almost as a forward if that's the case. What's that?
Oh my God. I'm not wearing my Brighton shirt. It was the BlackBox derby. We beat you. You went to the game. You thought you were going to smash us after our 5-0 humiliation. I can't believe I haven't got my Brighton top on. I'm devastated with myself.
I wouldn't cover yourself in that much glory. It wasn't a great performance by Brighton.
It's too late. It means everything.
I do feel like the where you go with the Forest players is going to be one of the swings this week. I feel like if you go Gibbs-White over Elanga, it will be like Elanga that gets a brace. If you go Gibbs-White, if you go Elanga, it's going to be Gibbs-White that gets 2 penalties or something silly. And that's it. Well, yeah, if you're on free hit, obviously get them all. I mean, looking at your 2's free hit that you've been doing this week, have you been going for kind of double Forest? Have you found that double Forest is preventing you from getting another midfielder you want, or are you been quite happy with?
I've had Elanga the whole time and not taking it off.
Yeah.
Elanga. Yeah. I was very surprised to not see him start against Brighton.
Yeah,
I thought he was going to cause us massive problems. And when I saw him not in the lineup, I felt quite relieved. I was like, I don't really know where your threat's going to come from in this game. He came on in the end, but he surely starts in this match.
Oh God, I'd hope so. I think the idea was that we would get you to the last 20, your tired legs after the European game, then we bring on Awani and Elanga and Hudson-Odoi and hit you with that bit of pace and flair. But I think from the off, he's got to start this game. And he caused Luton problems last time, and that's when they had a stronger defence than they have this time. Hashioka is the I don't know if he's a Japanese international, but he's a Japanese player, and he didn't look great. He looked a bit exposed against Solanke and Semenyo, didn't he? So I think that the biggest thing is, like, will Wood start over Awani? I think he will. I've been saying that all week, and I think the set piece threat that Luton have got, Wood will be useful there. And Awani, when he came on at Brighton, still doesn't look fully fit. So I guess Wood might only get an hour, 65. Depends on the game state. If we're winning, Wood could stay on for like 70, 80 minutes easily. Because why would you change it? I don't think you want to risk Awani if he's carrying and managing an injury, which I think he is. He had groin surgery, and I think it's still troubling him. So, as I said this week, I think Wood's going to start. And I think, Luton, as we saw, Luton have got a tendency to concede first half goals, certainly in home games. They've done that in a few home games. They've gone 2 or 3 down at home and then tried to claw it back. And we've got to hit them early. So I think Wood will be on the pitch when that period of the match is when we're hopefully scoring goals.
Would you go for more than one attacker for Forest, Andy?
Yeah.
Me? Yeah, I think I would, yeah. I mean, I picked Elanga, obviously, on my wildcard last week because I wanted him for this blank and I quite liked his fixtures moving forward. But I think this week I would be. I think this is one of those fixtures where, like we've just seen there, Luton's defence is just, there for the taking. And there's going to be a few goals, but I think Forest are going to score a few goals. And I think I'd find it really, really hard not to go with Gibbs White, who's the pen taker, because you'd be wanting that kind of upside with a pen taker, and he's so lowly owned as well. I don't know what he is now, but he's going to be so lowly owned, and Elanga is as well. It just seems like the perfect kind of upside players to pick, really.
Yep, agree.
Should explain my comment about Hudson-Odoi. He had that big Achilles injury, and he has slowed down since then. I know he's only 23. He's been around for 10 years.
I can't believe he's only 23.
Yeah, I know. Made his debut for Chelsea at the age of 12, I think it was. But yeah, it was. He isn't as quick. He isn't as explosive with his pace. He's still quick. He's and he's very quick with the ball, travelling with the ball. But he's not a Langer quick.
Yep.
Yeah. Just say, by the way, this is a cracking table. Good little makeup.
Thank you. That's why we were late.
No worries.
I was hurriedly trying to put it together just before we came on. Yeah, just a few more to mention here. Burnley, obviously, I know like Luton have obviously got lots of weaknesses across. So have Burnley. The 17th for chance to concede on the left, 16th for chance to concede on the right. Set pieces, though, they are one of the worst teams for conceding set piece chances. 19th, 134 chances from set pieces. Compare that to Villa, who actually are pretty decent at not conceding chances from set pieces, just 85. So who does that benefit from Brentford? Well, Rorslev, if he plays, I know Neil was a bit unsure whether he's going to see. He thinks there might be a bit of a tactical formation tweak in that. But then you've got Reguilon on the other side as well. Visser, if he plays a bit wider too. Interestingly, Burnley aren't, I mean, they're 15th, but like the centre chances aren't as high as some of the others. But the set pieces with Tony, I think that's just why you need him, right? He's just going to be on everything.
But also, Ayer and Collins and whoever's centre back, surely there's a chance of a centre back goal for Burnley, for Brentford, because we've seen Trafford really caught, not looking strong enough on set pieces. Thomas Frank will exploit that, or look to exploit that, won't he? So. What's the back three? If they're going to play a back three, what's it going to be? Collins, Ayer, Zanka? Is that the three? You reckon?
I think so. That's what Neil says might happen. I think he's leaning towards Rorslev playing, but
is he?
Yeah,
right,
some concern. Yeah.
Just before we move off it, because obviously not everybody's on free hit. If you had to target one attacking player that you were going to bring in that you were happy to keep after this week as well, who would it be?
It's a tough one.
That is a tough one. Tony's the obvious one because Brentford's fixtures are so nice, like going forward. But I don't know if I'd want to be using a striker spot on him because those numbers are so bad. That is a tricky one.
Well, Elanga,
I mean, Forest fixtures are nice.
Yeah, Elanga's got Luton, Palace, Fulham.
Yeah, maybe it is Elanga or Gibbs White. I
think Elanga at 5-1. You can bring him in as your fifth midfielder and bench him, can't you? So either him or Wood, really. I mean, if you've got a cheap striker, you go Wood.
I mean, you can't really go wrong with Spurs either, can you? Because they've got Luton in 30 too. So a Maddison or Porro or a Dogie or someone like that also look good if you haven't got those in place already. I think a hit for Maddison this week will surely pay off over the next two weeks, for example.
I'm not sure about Maddison. I'm not absolutely convinced I'm going to go with him.
I'm not. No. I'm quite cold on him as well.
Yeah.
I think he's getting back to his best, but I've been quite cold on him personally.
Have you got Madison in the wildcard, Andy? No. Oh yeah, right. If you two don't go with him, captain.
if us two don't go with him, he won't be in your team.
Yeah, you know me. One player I want to mention before we move off this, and he's my punt. I've been good with the punts. You saw Werner Havertz and Werner Havertz score again. Yeah, thank you very much.
Where it's due.
Yeah. Well, who's my punt for the free hit? Vitinho of Burnley. Because Brentford are the second worst team for chances conceding down their left, and Vitinho could be playing out of position down Burnley's right. He's a defender. He's a defender in the game.
Do you know what I'm worried about, Mark? Is that we laugh at these predictions at the moment. There's going to come a point in a couple of weeks where he keeps getting it right, and we're going to be writing them down every week.
I'm tempted by him, like genuinely. Why not? It's free hit. Have a bit of fun.
If this comes in for you, Az, you should set up some kind of like paid community.
Oh yes, exactly. You've got to start going for some of these though, Az, because you can't just keep saying it. Like it's easy to say it and not,
hollow.
You've got to put your money where your mouth is, haven't you?
Yeah, go Vitinho on the free hit. You got a free hit. Do it.
Okay, fine. Vitinho in. I'm very easily talked into things. I went to this conference thing yesterday, and I ended up signing up to HelloFresh. I got a massage, and I started with a chiropractor, which is it was a health and well-being expo for like.
I wouldn't be getting massages from HelloFresh, mate. That does not sound at all.
It wasn't the best.
Some guy called Bob came round.
Did he get fresh?
Oh, it's too fresh. I'm very easily talked into things. Is what I learned from that. I was getting pulled in by all the different people to
as yellow flagged. Hard on.
Very good.
Unbelievable.
Look at all giggling at hard on like what? You're too old for this.
You're easily scammed, are you, Az? Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much.
Well,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If you would stop laughing at me and start telling me to like go for it more, this is what you've changed now. You laughed at me with Havertz, Werner, and I was like, oh, okay, I won't do it. And then I'm with Vitinho, you're like, oh, go for it, and then he's just gonna get sent off. I know, terrible.
That's called daddy issues, Az.
No comment. Team data attack. Then let's have a look at the teams over the season.
Not as bad, is it?
Yeah, I think there's potential here, and I think Michael, you and I said a few weeks ago that we think there's potential on the free hit for some of these. Villa Spurs, they're 4th and 5th on the list. Brentford in 8th over the season. And then you have got some of the other teams, down a bit further down, which kind of maybe boost some of the defence a little bit. But I still don't think there's going to be any clean sheets across this. But there's not much in it between quite a lot of these teams. West Ham are in 13th, Fulham are in 15th, but there's like 0.2 separating them in the XG non-penalty per 90 as well. It's really, I think Luton is interesting that it's so low. If we look at them over the last 6. They don't jump up. Do you know what? I thought it was going to be much higher than that. They go up to 12th. You feel like they're going to score in like every game, but the attacking data isn't great. Why? How do they keep managing to score like every match?
Yeah, I mean they're doing what they are obviously scoring. I think they just kind of go all out, don't they? And that's the thing. And you've got someone like Barkley who can score the odd one from outside the box as well, which is probably low XG too. But yeah, I mean. You'd expect them to carry on scoring goals, but it's whether their kind of confidence gets a bit of a knock now. Like that seemed like one of those kind of matches last week where it was, being 3-0 up and then losing 4-3. Is their confidence just going to be through the floor now, isn't it? So I don't know. One thing I was going to ask you about, by the way, what was Spurs' defensive data when you went on the defensive one? Because Fulham in the last 6 are 7th. And Spurs are 11th. Because we haven't spoken about Muniz at all.
That's
and Muniz is somebody that's... But Muniz is somebody that's obviously come through and he's looking like the player we thought Brozier was going to be when he was at Fulham. And there's been a lot of chat about do we go Tony or do we save an awful lot of money and get Muniz because we could need that money moving forward. Have either of you two been tempted on free hit to go with him over the other strikers? Because I expect Fulham to score against Spurs.
I haven't. I mean, they're 15th over the season for attacking data. Fulham over the last 6, So that's really when Muniz has kind of come into the team as well. I think he's got 5 in his last 6 games. That's when he kind of broke in. They've gone up to 7th. And Van der Ven's out for Spurs as well. I think Fulham score in this match. I don't know if Muniz has got enough compared to some of the other forwards to make me consider it. He's not really in my thinking. I'd have Fofana or Wood over him, I think. But he's a decent option. He's
in that bracket. I mean, I think if you've got to have Watkins and you've got to have Tony, you've got one slot left, and then you've got those 3. I think Fofana, Wood, and definitely Muniz competing for that. Maybe Morris in there as well. So there's not much in it between those 4, is there? It's tough. I think you're right, Andy. I think Fulham will score, but I think that Spurs will run out and win the game. I think I've gone 3-1 or something like that at the moment with that game. I don't think Fulham will get more than 1. But Muniz has been impressive, no question.
Brentford's stats are poor for the last 6, for defence and attack. I mean, they're 15th.
Yeah, but tough fixtures. Have you seen who they played? I mean,
yeah,
really
to be fair.
I
mean, against Arsenal, they were in full kind of shithouse mode, really, weren't they? There's no other way to say it. I enjoyed watching that game because they were Tony tries to score from like the halfway line and they're all kind of rolling around on the floor. And then who do they bring on? Neil Maupay. I mean, of all the players to bring on when you're trying to kind of get a result, he's the best one to bring on. But yeah, I mean, the fixtures have been tough, but the numbers, the numbers aren't great. I mean, over the season, where are Brentford? They're 8th, so that's not too bad. And we haven't talked about Mbomo. We think he's going to be at least making some kind of return right off the bench. We think.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for him because obviously we remember him at the beginning of the season where he was on pens as well. Whereas obviously he won't be on penalties now, and he did score quite a few penalties. He scored a lot of last-minute goals as well, didn't he? Beginning of the season.
Don't I know it? Yes.
Yeah. So I don't think he's going to be the player maybe he was at the beginning of the season, and also he's going to be kind of eased back in. He's been out for a while, hasn't he?
Off the bench, we think.
Yeah,
I'd be very surprised if he.
And Wissa's done okay, so I don't think that. I don't think he's a shoe-in to start when he had such a long injury. Why would you do that?
Yeah. Final thing to note on this is Villa and Spurs in 4th and 5th over the season. They are 4th and 6th over the last 6 as well. So in terms of that kind of consistency that you're getting, that's where the bulk of maybe our attack should be focused. And we're going to talk about players like Bailey a bit later on. I think everyone on a free hit is going to be going Son and Maddison, except for Mark, maybe, because he's just not feeling it for some reason.
Son, yes. I don't think Maddison's as cast iron as you're saying.
Yeah. What do you think of Richarlison being back?
Me?
Yeah.
What do I think?
Why not?
I think...
Sure. There's only 2 of you I can ask.
I know. I suppose Andy was thinking, how much should I charge for this nugget? So I reckon that Richarlison will be on the bench like in Mbomo, isn't it? Like he's been out a while. I think Son has done well, obviously down the centre. Why would they change it? They've got options in Kulusevski and Johnson and Werner. So I don't think Richarlison starts myself. But obviously long-term impact is that Son could move back to the left, right, if Richarlison's back in the side. So for the free hit, it's not a worry. For long-term, it is a concern we need to look at. And perhaps if we're moving to Salah, it'll be Son that makes way in game week 30 or 31.
Because I've seen some free hits, Andy, with 3 Spurs mids, with Maddison, with Son, and then with Johnson, Werner up top, if you wanted to go for a forwards.
I've said it on Scoutcast on Monday that if I wanted to go a little bit differential, I would go triple Spurs mids. I quite like that idea. Go in Brennan Johnson, Son and Maddison. Basically anybody whose name ends in a Son. Sounds like it would be a good pick. But I quite like it. But I don't think you have to do that. But if you're confident they're going to score goals against Fulham, then it's fine. I'm not a massive fan of Brennan Johnson myself. He was obviously a legend at Forest. But I'm not a massive fan of his. But I do think if you wanted to go a bit different, going for the team that you think is going to score the most goals in the game week and trying to get 3 of their mids is good. And obviously one of their mids you're going to captain as well. So that's going quadruple
I just don't think Fulham are that
Spurs
bad.
attack.
I just think tripling up on attack against Fulham away. I know they're not great, but I don't know. I just feel like that's not the best use of the mids when there's other good options. Personally,
it would be a nice midfield though, wouldn't it? Having It's triple Spurs and double Forest.
Triple Spurs and double Forest. Wow.
Well, I have got Maddison, Son, Alanga and Gibbs White at the moment in a 5. So, but I did think about Brennan instead of Maddison. I'm thinking about that.
Yeah, that's not for me. I won't be going anywhere near Brennan. Keepers then. Who do you pick out of the goalkeepers? I don't know. This is the position. Mine's changing all the time. Flecken's the obvious one because it's Burnley. His points per 90 over the season put him 22nd. He's had one good game against Man City.
Man City, yeah.
Really. The rest of it has all been pretty poor. Vicario's kind of ruled out because you're going to want those Spurs players elsewhere. I think Areola looks a decent punt, and that really annoys me because I think he's going to make some saves against Villa. And then it's probably between Kaminsky and Sells for the other one.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously again I'm not on free hit, but if I was, I'd look at my 3 defenders and I'd make sure that I had a goalkeeper that was with one of my defenders. Just so if it did come in, I'd have my double clean sheet. Yeah,
the fan team daily strategy.
Exactly. Yeah, so it'd be Reguilon, so Flecken, and then probably double Spurs or something like that, and just to try and get the double clean sheet if you can.
I just don't think there's going to be a clean sheet. I look at it. I
don't know.
I can't see a way in which any of those teams don't. If Burnley don't score at home to Brentford, then what is even the point of them? Like, they've got to be looking at that game and thinking they're going to get something from it. So I'm just looking and thinking, well, who's going to make the most saves? And that's why I'm looking at Selves, because I'm thinking, well, Luton are going to attack and shoot a lot. Are they that clinical? I mean, they do seem to score quite a few goals. And actually, as Mark said, Forest seem to concede for about every bloody shot that faces them. But I don't know. I kind of feel like I think it's probably between Kaminsky and Sells for me in terms of pure shot-stopping saves. Just try and rack up the save points.
Yeah. I think Sells gives you an outside chance of clean sheet, as does Flecken, I think. You're not going to go Vicario because you're going to probably have 3 Spurs outfield players, aren't you? So then you are down to those. I mean, Areola, you probably won't want to go Areola because you know that non-free hitters have got him. It is Villa, isn't it? Villa should score. But you're right, it is coming down to save points, like who's going to have shots from far out. I think Burnley and Flecken is probably still the best bet for saves as well. I think that Burnley will have a lot of shots, probably not high quality shots. But I expect them to go at Brentford and cause them problems. And we've seen in games this season they've played well, had possession, created stuff, but not scored goals. And I wouldn't be surprised if they've got, maybe they will register some shots, some low XG shots that Flecken gets save points from.
Yeah, fair enough. One of these goalkeepers is saving a penalty this week. I'm telling you, one of them. I don't know which one. I wish I did, but one of it. It's probably going to be Areola, isn't it? That's going to be
probably.
That'd be absolutely horrible. Over the last, lovely. Oh no, please no. Over the last 6, Flecken does show up a lot better. His saves per 90, 5.64. That's among the best. I think that's second only to. Oh no, Flecken's is the best. 5.71. It's Areola just behind him, 5.64. Whereas Sells is like 1.83. He's not making any saves.
We don't concede a lot of shots.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Well, maybe my whole strategy then of going for Sells is completely off. Maybe I should just be going for one of those two. Yeah, I think the goalkeeper one is just a complete lottery. Kaminsky's there 4.29 over the last 6. And as someone said in the chat, it's going to be Martinez, isn't it, who comes through with a big
Could be. Yeah. It could be. I mean, like West Ham's data home, although they scored 5 in midweek, hasn't been great of late, their attacking data. So, I don't know. I mean, you're right, they've got good players on the pitch, but West Ham are so erratic, aren't they? Like, when we all went away from Bowen, when we moved away from him, they looked so poor for that run of 6 or 7 games. And then Paqueta came back and he was the catalyst again. Obviously, Villa and West Ham have both played midweek on a Thursday night. They're going to be, both of them, quite leggy. They could play out a really, a 0-0 draw. It doesn't seem likely with the attacking talent on show. I don't think it's going to be like a 4-3 or 3-all lung-busting classic, is it? Because they're both going to be knackered.
So no McGinn for Villa's big.
No McGinn for Villa. Watkins, we think, will start, should be okay. No McGinn is a big factor, isn't it? And it's a question of how Villa adjust to that, because he is kind of like the fulcrum, isn't he, in midfield? He gets everything going. And that arse of his is key to their attacking ploys.
He had a moment of madness, didn't he? With his little stamp thing, bit like Moda's moment of madness, which
how did he survive that?
wasn't
How
a red card.
was that not a red card? Absolutely ridiculous.
Absolutely,
don't get me started.
No idea how he got away with that. Defenders over the season, we've got kind of two tables to show here. One is just the top 30 defenders, including everyone, just to give a bit of context. I've then got the next 30 defenders who've obviously got the game. So looking at defenders over the season, I'm not seeing much mentioning of Cash at all. Well, apart from with Andy's tweets.
Apart from, yes.
Don't worry.
I thought you weren't going to get to that one.
Don't worry.
I thought you let that one go.
I'm there.
Yeah, I guess he has disappointed of late, isn't he? I don't know what his last 6 data is, but he hasn't been as getting far forward as because Bailey's been playing out wide, and I think that's kind of curtailed his ability to get forward that much. Yeah, he's not in there for the last 6. He has been overlapping him, but I don't think earlier in the season we saw
35th.
significant goal. Yeah, we saw some significant goal threat from him early in the season, didn't we? Before Bailey was on the right wing. So I think, I think it's a stretch going there. I mean, but then again, Dina and Moreno, you're not going to go there, are you? Because of the rotation. Could Konsa play right back and Cash in midfield? Is that going to be a ploy to replace McGinn? Don't know. Possibly, but I don't think it's worth the risk.
Yep. Looking at Porro, he's over the season 7th in the list, 0.29. Comparing that to Adogi, for example, 0.19. So he's quite a bit high. Oh, thank you to Darrell for the 5 FPL BlackBox memberships. Very, very kind of you. We very much appreciate that. But yeah, the season data does look good for Porro, doesn't it? If you look at it over the last, clicking all the buttons, over the last 6, Porro, I don't think Porro features, does he? Because he was out for a bit. Is a doggy on here?
He's not.
No, he was on the other list, yeah. The one you brought up with Cash on it.
He's 39th over the
39th.
season then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and no Porro because he's... Oh, the Porro is there, 66th. Porro is in his 3 starts. That's interesting. I didn't realise they were both so low down over the last 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the doggy's only started 4, so 349 minutes up against Porro's 270. So there is a 1 match difference. So yeah, I think what Andy was saying earlier is it's not. I don't think you have to go to Porro in the free hit here at all.
I still maintain suits a doggy. I'm just so sure he's going to just fluke his way into a goal at some point just because he's so advanced.
He gets further forward. His heat maps are ridiculous, but Porro's definitely got that incisiveness with his attack and returns up top, if that makes sense. So he's a bit more like Trippier. He's obviously not Trippier, but he's a bit more like Trippier in terms of you expect him to make the right call, whereas a dog who's still a little bit like a rabbit in the headlights.
I was going to say, he's a bit like a headless chicken sometimes. He's kind of just bobbing forward and not always the best time to do it.
Yeah,
he's more fun.
Player I was going to mention,
he is more fun. That's what I think. He's more fun. Yeah.
The player I was going to mention on these tables, by the way, he's 17th in the season. I think he was 7th or 8th in the last 6 game weeks, is Reguilon. Reguilon does look really good for an attack and return. And obviously I picked him on wildcard because I fancy him. I know he's got Man United next week, but I fancy him there as well. But I think he is, especially with him being declared definitely fit this weekend as well, I think he's a shoo-in on a free hit or even, investing. I think he's a really good pick.
You've got to go for the attacking ones. So you've got to go for Reguilon, you've got to go for Porro or Destiny, and then you've got to go for Vitinho.
Doughty.
Oh, Doughty.
Vitinho.
I might not go for Doughty.
I guess he's the one you can afford not to go with, Doughty, right?
Yeah.
Where
is he in the last 6?
The trouble is his set pieces are so good.
Yeah,
whenever I watch
so
him,
poor defending them. Yeah.
Where was Vitinho in the last 6? Because I swear I saw him.
He's high.
There he is, 82nd. Is he high?
Oh, God.
He's 82nd there.
82nd over the season, but last 6, Vitinho's 7th.
Oh,
0.26. But Doughty's 3rd.
Vitinho bandwagon.
But yeah, Doughty's 3rd. So I do like the Doughty, Reguilon, Porro or Doggy. That's the only thing that puts me off Vitinho. Maybe I'll play 4 at the back. I'm not going to play 4 at the back.
all we need to do, folks, is if we just mention every single defender who could possibly play in this game week, then at least we've tipped them. You see?
Rorslev, thoughts on Rorslev?
Who have we got to? Burke.
My tip's going to be the defender that Az already owns but won't own for the free hit, which would be Kabore. I think Kabore's getting a goal and a
when he
an
got
assist.
that assist yesterday, which literally he just this little pass to Barkley, he just runs on and just smashes it in. I was just like, are you joking? I've had you all season and you've done nothing. I benched one haul from him. When I accidentally bench boosted, he got 2 points against Man U. And then I take a hit to not play him, and he gets an assist. I thought he was really poor in that game. Every time I watch Kabore play, he looks awful. That's got to be a side you target down the left.
He was playing one of the free centre backs against Bournemouth.
I don't think he's all that really.
There's a super chat, by the way, from David Toft. I don't know whether you.
Yes, it's a longer one, so I think we'll take.
Yeah.
It's pinned.
Yeah.
We'll take that. We'll take that one at the end.
Cool.
Yeah, don't worry, David. We will come back to that one at the end.
You'll get your money's worth, David.
Get your money's worth. Yeah, don't worry.
I'll make sure of it.
Good
mate.
FPL community here. Anyone else you want to talk about in defence? I mean, what do you think about Rorslev? I mean, there's we're pretty sure Regulon's going to play, aren't we now? So there's not really a huge need to go for Rorslev. But like I mentioned, they are weak down that side. Maybe you go for both wing backs for Brentford if they do play that free at the back system.
Yeah, I think we're only probably picking 3 defenders. I think most people are just going Rorslev because they couldn't pick Regulon. But I think you go Regulon if it's out of the two, definitely.
Yep.
Agreed.
Yep. I just wanted to mention some of the other players that have kind of passed the 30 mark, just in case you're trying to take a punt on anyone else. This is everyone, and you can see there's not much. I mean, Creswell's popular, isn't he? He scored a goal in the Europa League last night. We know he's got.
He won't play, will he? Won't Emerson start?
Emerson's in hospital.
Oh, is he out injured? I
think,
thought I didn't realise. Is he flagged?
Emerson's out.
That last night when I looked at it. Okay.
Well, Emerson did a tweet of himself in hospital like a week ago. So unless he's made a miraculous recovery.
But he's flagged 75. I didn't think he was in hospital. But
I'm pretty sure Emerson's out.
Okay.
So, there you go. Can you be tempted by an Emerson then?
No, what, on Creswell?
Yeah.
Creswell don't take the free kicks anymore, does he? So, if he was there with the set pieces again, then yeah, maybe he's an option. But Villa score, won't they? And no, I just don't see it. I mean, he's low down that list of defenders you consider, I think, Creswell.
Another player, Andy, who's been pretty decent for us in spells over the last few seasons when he was at Leicester is Castagna.
Yeah.
He's 65th on the list over the season.
We really
0.11. He's playing Spurs, but
yeah. I think if you really wanted to go against Spurs, I think you go for Leno over Castagna, personally. I think because Leno, they have kept clean sheets this year. I think when you brought up the table just now, they kept 7 this season, which is higher than a lot of the other teams we're looking at. But against Spurs, I would never back a team to keep a clean sheet against Spurs. And I don't expect it in this game either. And I don't think he's really going to be getting you in any attacking returns. So, yeah, I don't think I'd be picking him. I think if I really wanted to go for Fulham and go against Spurs, it would be Leno.
Yep. But we're all agreed Vitinho is the best pick for our defence.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Good. Let's move into midfielders then. So, yeah, we've got Mbommo at the top of the midfielders kind of season. I think we will see a few people moving to Mbommo if he's declared fit, but we don't think he's necessarily going to play. Same with Richarlison.
The top 2 here, both back from injury, right?
Yeah, and it's interesting because, obviously Mbommo, you could be tempted, but you'd be moving pretty early for him. Richarlison, there's going to be people that have held him all this time, and they're just praying that he gets a start. In that game, I don't think he gets a start, not because he's of the injury. I think he doesn't get a start because I don't think he's going to change the team that won so well against Villa. Bailey shows up very, very highly here. Mark, you're not going to free hit out Bailey, are you?
I know, this is it. It's dangerous, isn't it? Really dangerous. Having held him all this time, and here he is, 0.64 XG on penalty per 90 over the season, 7.3 points per 90. Really good season for him. 17 goal involvements. Yeah, I don't know. It is between him, Maddison, Gibbs, White. There's definitely a midfield slot up for grabs before the deadline tomorrow. Yeah,
that's a high actually non-penalty per 90, isn't it? Not 0.64 for Bailey.
Yeah, I've said it, and I'll turn it into ours, but I hate saying it. Mark kind of smashed it with the Diaby pick at the beginning of the season, and then somehow he's moved off that winger and gone on to Bailey, and he's obviously done well with Bailey. But Bailey, obviously, we've waited for him to do it for ages, haven't we? And he's obviously seems to be doing it now. I haven't seen many free hit drafts with him in.
No.
So I'd be very, very interested to see who goes with him.
I've got him, and I was very happy to see Mark.
That would be amazing. Wouldn't it? Amazing if he hauls.
Yeah, I don't think I can do it to myself. I'm probably going to have to put him in.
Oh, here we go. Copycat. See?
Such a child.
Diaby's interesting though, because like you mentioned, Mark, if Diaby does start on the left, and West Ham have Creswell, Creswell's on the left as well, isn't he? Was he on the right? Where's Creswell playing?
Cresswell's left.
Yeah.
Cresswell's left.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Cresswell.
it's Bailey up against Creswell.
Oh, I quite fancy
Ooh,
that.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, I didn't realise Emerson was definitely ruled out. But if you're saying he's in hospital, fair enough. But,
Well, I don't know, but he didn't look like he was. He had a gas mask on, I think.
Did he?
Then again, Andy's playing football tomorrow, and he's got half a leg.
He wasn't at the Wellbeing exhibition, was he? Was he? Wasn't like that?
Definitely not.
In a chrono chamber or something.
Brennan Johnson, he's 25th over the season, 0.47 XG on penalty per 92. If we look at some of the other midfielders over the season, interestingly, Bowen is low down, I think, over the season, given what we said. I mean, 0.45 isn't horrendous, but for 14 goals, 3 assists, you'd expect that to be a lot higher. Is he just massively overperforming?
I mean, yeah, he's been a tough one because a lot of us were so surprised when obviously he came back with that hat-trick. But the West Ham data and his data haven't looked promising for quite a while now. And Kudus as well, who a lot of people are kind of taking a punt on this week, he's obviously, much lower as well. So
Kudus in 67th. I was really
he
surprised.
Sorry, doesn't he? Low XG goals.
He took the ball in, halfway within his own penalty area, in his own half last night. Ran round the whole pitch and slotted it in.
Poor defending though, wasn't it? It was like a tired passing.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, it says a lot. So Bowen's 31st, Paquetá's 59th, Ward-Prowse 60th, and Kudus 67th. I think that kind of says a lot about West Ham this season, doesn't it, in trusting them? But if you were to go with one, I mean, yeah. But if you were to go with one, I mean, you'd still go with Bowen, but then Paquetá's got the penalties. So I don't know. I think Bowen would still be the way I would go. But
I like Paquetá. I do.
Yeah.
Kulu is 46th on the list. He's the other Spurs mid that kind of no one's really talking about. His touches in the box per 90 of 8.29 is in the top 10 for all midfielders over the season. Only 6 goals, 3 assists. But he could be a bit of a... No one's considering him.
No, I think you'd go Johnson ahead of him, wouldn't you?
I wouldn't.
I would.
I'm not feeling Johnson.
I would.
Not with the threat of the mighty Timo lurking.
Oh no, you know who it is? It's Harvey Barnes that's threatening.
That's
good.
the one.
We need a bell. That's what juice. I want to ring it. Ding, 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 ding.
By the way, we've just said all that about West Ham players and where they are in that table. Gibbs White is 70th.
Yeah, I
on
know.
that table.
Yeah, very good spot.
So if he wasn't on penalties, we wouldn't be going anywhere near him, would we, Mark? Is it just because of that?
He's regressed, hasn't he, quite a lot this season? 3 goals, 6 assists. Pretty poor.
Yeah, his end product's not great. I do think, though, against Luton, in that pocket, he will play close to Wood if Wood starts, because he tends to play Gibbs White up with Chris Wood if he's playing Chris Wood. Whereas with Aaron it's about Gibbs White getting in the pocket and playing in Aaron pace. Whereas when it's Chris Wood, it's about bits and pieces, knock down, second ball, and Gibbs White will get close to Wood for knockdowns, and he's a quality player. We really should be seeing more from him in terms of output. He's an outstanding player, but he just hasn't got that end product, which in the end is going to hold him back career-wise because he's got everything else. His work rate is incredible. His passing and vision are excellent, but he's just not got that goal and assist output, which the likes of Maddison and so on have got.
Well, he's ahead of Douglas Luiz in terms of the XG non-penalty per 90. Douglas Luiz is 74th over the season. They're kind of... I mean, Douglas Luiz got 9 goals, 5 assists. So what's that, 14? Gibbs White has got 3 and 6. So 9. It's just it's those goals with Douglas Luiz, isn't it? But then he's had more... How many penalties have you had this season? Doesn't feel like Forest have had many.
One, I think, yeah. Funny that, isn't it? Anyone I think the referee's got it in for us, but yes.
That is low. That is low, but you never know what could happen. Gazoon, looking at midfielders over the last 6, this is where Paquetá looks good. So he's 7th for midfielders. XG non-penalty per 90 of 0.72. I mean, that's only just behind the mighty Havertz at 0.74. Yeah, he looks good. Another goal last night.
Just the 3 games, though.
Yeah, another goal last night, though, in the
Small
Europa
sample.
League.
Yeah, I like him. I think if you look at this here and you think, okay, well, Paquetá, Bailey, Elanga, all above Son, and yet Son is like the shoe-in captain. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just over. Like, because do we think Antonio's going to play? Is it going to be Bowen on the right again?
I think so.
Yeah, that's annoying.
Antonio played well midweek.
Yeah, Bowen is. Yeah, I mean Bowen over the last 6. We saw he was 31st for midfielders. He's 57th for midfielders over the last 6 games. 0.32 is sort of what was he before? Was he? I think that's consistent, isn't it, with what he was? 0.45 again. It has gone down. It has gone down a bit as well. Maddison's 32nd, but 0.43. That's not too bad though. Gibbs White 0.36. There's some of there are other options. Yeah, I don't know. Some of those seem quite high. Like Maddison being 32nd with 0.43. 0.43 is not horrendous.
Yeah, but does it make him a shoe-in top 5 midfielder to have for the free hit? I'm not sure.
No,
probably will for security, because you think that I look at it and think Spurs and Forest are probably going to score the most goals in the game week. I would say.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question that I'm going with Maddison. My love for that guy. So I'm tempted to captain him over Son this week. Not that the stats pay now. I mean, Son is on penalties. He's got an XG on penalty 90 of 0.59 over the last 6. So he's superior to Maddison in almost every way. But it's Maddison. It's my free hit. Maybe this is the chance. I've all talked this episode, haven't I?
Yeah. I believe in you, Az. Go for it.
It's going to be Tommy template when he rolls it out, Andy. You watch.
You're probably right. You're probably right. Forwards, just the one screen on this one. I mean, we got Watkins in 5th, 0.64 over the season. Chris Wood shows up pretty well, though, when he plays. 8 goals for him, including that hat-trick that he got, 0.56.
In 10 starts.
Yeah, I know. It's not bad, is it? Okay, let's just go back to Chris Wood then. These stats are good for Chris Wood, and if we think he's going to start, I mean, there is obviously risk of him not playing the full 90, or maybe not even starting. But if we think he's going to start, then he's going to be hard to ignore, isn't he?
I think he'll get one. I mean, I think we're going to have to score 2 or 3 goals to win the game, because I think we concede and Luton are going to come at us. I mean, when they're conceding 4 big chances a game, you've got to think Forest will be able to get at least a couple of goals. And if we do get a couple of goals, Chris Wood, as this stats show, when he starts, he normally does take his chances. Is his conversion rate the best on show here? Yes, it is. Yeah, so he's got the best conversion rate and the second best accuracy behind Fofana as well in the 10 games he's played, which is crazy, isn't it? But I guess he takes all his chances close range in the box. I think he will get chances. He got 2 against them at the City Ground, of course. So, there's no theory that you need pace to get behind the Luton defence. I don't think they're great in the air with the injuries they got at the back. I think he will. He should have got a hat trick. I think his XG in that game when we played them, I think it was like 3.2 or something. He should have come out of the game with more than the 2 goals he got. Yeah, I think he's worthwhile. I do think he starts. He may well lose like 20 minutes at the end, but it depends on game state. Like I said, he's going to be a security against the set plays. I don't think he's got 90 minutes in his legs, so he might have to come off 10, 15 to go. But Tyro will only come on if we're chasing the game, I think. And I don't know if we will be. I think we're more likely to be defending, to be honest. But yeah.
1,500 people watching, by the way, which is amazing. Thanks
Lovely.
for tuning in on a Friday night. The results of the poll, it looks like 57% of people watching this are on a free hit in 29.
I thought you were going to say results of the poll, people would pay £5 to £10.
That poll coming later.
Okay.
Which is interesting. That's a bit higher than I saw maybe last week. It looks like people have kind of been pushed into it maybe for whatever reason, because that has definitely increased. Andy, forwards. If you were picking 3 forwards, what order would they be? You're obviously going to say Tony, but he's 26th on this list.
I think Tony's, because of the opposition as well with Burnley, you're expecting Brentford to score. So I think that's why a lot of people are going Tony. I'm going Tony not on a free hit because I actually really like his fixtures moving forward until the end of the season, really. I actually quite like the fixtures he's got, so I think he's a good pick. I think he's probably being played down a lot because he's had really tough fixtures, and I think that's why the data's a little bit lower on him at the moment, and they have had tough fixtures. I'm not a massive fan of him playing a little bit deeper, but I don't know whether that's because of game state and they're kind of using his ability on the ball and trying to get him on the ball a bit more, and with Wissa obviously they can do that a bit. But I still think he's a good pick. I think he's somebody, we've just mentioned about the set pieces with Burnley. We've mentioned about how they're weak in certain areas, and obviously Tony is highlighted there as well. And I think I still would go with Tony over someone like Muniz, personally. So I think Watkins and Tony are still top two for me. And then it's just who your third player is. And I think that third striker you can have a bit of fun with potentially and go for someone different. I think Morris is going to be very popular because they're playing Forest and they're at home and he's on penalties. I think Wood is starting to become a little bit more popular. I'm not sure I completely believe in that one myself, but I think he's obviously going to be
Praz
there.
in the chat, he believes.
Yeah.
He believes. I don't hate the Fofana pick. I think the Fofana pick is quite fun. Yeah. So I think that third striker position is the one that you can have a bit of fun with, personally.
Yeah. So we haven't talked about Morris at all. So is Morris just not really gone off him? I mean, you've got him. Are you just not really feeling
I've got him. Yeah, I think, at home on penalties, it would be absolutely typical of him not doing anything in a double game week. Then you're in a blank game week where you thought everybody was going to be off him. Everybody goes off him and then he scores a brace. Like, it could easily happen. And if you're picking a penalty taker at home, you can easily get, a few points.
Yeah.
So I don't hate him. It's just, I think people think he's a bit of a boring pick. I genuinely do. I think because they're picking those other two strikers, they're looking at him and thinking, I don't really fancy that now. But I think he's fine. Personally,
I think his aggression will cause us problems at set play. I think he'll get one. I think he'll score.
Okay. Mark, we talked about Tony a few weeks ago, and we had him. We both said he'd probably be our captain on the free hit, and it's just the successive blanks that he's had, which have been poor. Also, apparently it's his birthday, says Kingsley. Well, that changed everything.
Yeah. Ex birthday.
But we talked about Burnley earlier, saying that they're going to be desperate to get a result in this. Brentford need a result in this. They've got 26 points, one ahead of Everton.
To lose it.
No, one ahead of Everton, two ahead of Forest. If Luton beat Forest, that's going to really put the cat amongst the pigeons for that relegation battle. If Burnley lose this, they're done, aren't they? I think.
Yeah, it's a must-win for Burnley, I would have said. But Brentford, I don't know how Frank's going to approach it, whether he'll go there to attack them. There could be a lot of goals in that game as well. I think I've gone for a 2-2 draw, so I do predict goals. Yeah, I mean, I think you look at the strikers, I think Tony, I think Fofana, I think Wood, I think Morris, I think they're all going to come out with returns, to be honest, because I think there will be goals in all these games. We said they're not going to be clean sheets, so it stands to reason we're therefore tipping goals. And, while Spurs don't have a striker to back, the other teams certainly do. So, yeah, I don't... It's a very tough choice. I'm only favouring... I like Fofana. It's between Fofana and Wood for me. I can't back the Luton striker against Forest, obviously. I just don't want to be doing that. But otherwise, I would... Yeah, I've got sympathy with those who hold him. I think he will get something out of the game.
Do you think this week for a free hit can... It could actually be really tough on the free hitters because there's a lot of players that you're not going to own that potential non-free hitters have got in their team preparing for this week that you're not going to own that could still go big. Like, it could easily be a really topsy-turvy week. Considering there's only 4 fixtures, it could go all over the place this week, couldn't it?
Yeah, it could.
I mean, fingers crossed.
Well, like Mark free hitting out Bailey and him going off. Morris doing well when... I am seeing Morris in quite a few free hits, but... Yeah, I mean, really, the free hits, you need your players like Visser, like Gibbs White, like Elanga to do well. And they're not like that reliable, are they? Any of them?
No.
Any of these things? I feel like there's potential with this week, but it still would take someone doing something they haven't really been doing consistently all season.
The key is, though, is that I haven't been making plans for this game week going into it, so I haven't been making transfers with this game week in mind, really. And it's the hits, isn't it? If you've got to take a -8 to get to 7 or 8 players, and you're still going to be 3 short of an 11, suddenly the free hit is already 2 points for the extra 3, so that's 6 plus the -8, so that's 14. You're already 14 up by free hitting, really. So I think that although you're right, it's a bit of a minefield. I think if you've got to take a -8 to get 7 or 8 players and you're still 3 short, you might as well take the free hit. I don't see. For me, it's where would you play it? And we haven't talked a lot about Game Week 34 tonight, but again, when you look at the potential doubles in Game Week 34, I think the free hit's a lot more dangerous playing it there than it is playing it in 29, which is something you've been pointing out for weeks, as. So for once, I agree with you. I think when you're replacing players who aren't playing, when you're filling in blanks in your team, you've got to think you'll come out with a positive result, even if someone like Morris does come in, you don't go with him.
Well, I mean, a few seasons. Go on, Andy.
I was going to say, you haven't had the chaos this week, though, that would have made free hit even better. Like, you think Reguilon was maybe injured. That would have been massive for players that would try not to free hit. Watkins midweek.
If Watkins
and now
had been out.
Like, and it's ones like those where you think, actually, you would have loved a bit of chaos this week, whereas it hasn't really happened. Like, all those people that are non-free hitting have actually probably still got their players they want, or we're going to invest in, if that makes sense.
Even players like Porro coming back and Richarlison now probably getting some minutes. These are all just adding to the minutes, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. Whereas, like I said, the Watkins injury would have been absolutely massive for free hitters, and it still could be. Like, it could still be managed, and obviously it's not perfect, but yeah, it's going to be an interesting week, I think.
Yep. David Toft, super chat. How does Mark see the situation playing out for Forest? Pick up the camera, get back in the park, and let us hear it. Yeah, Mark, what's happened to the walk-alongs?
I do know to go walkabout again. I will get round to that soon. Things are tough at the moment, and I don't have much free time outside of doing this, but. The PSR, I think we'll get a 6. I think we'll get a 6 point and we'll appeal it, and then it will go right to the end of the season. It's going to be a mess if it does. Hoping for 3 points. If we beat Luton at the weekend, we're 6 points ahead of them. And we do have Burnley and Sheffield United in the last 3. And Burnley and Sheffield United should be relegated by the time we play them. So if we don't go to Turf Moor and Bramall Lane and get 3 points in both those games, we deserve to go down anyway. So I'd like to think that the 6 points, if we do get 6, will come back in those 2 away games against relegated teams. But knowing Burnley and Sheffield United, who've got spirit, they'll probably raise their game, relegated or not, to take points off us. I don't think any game's a gimme necessarily.
And this from Larry Schwang. A great name. I wanted to raise as well, like in terms of taking risks and going differential to kind of catch up. I mean, the free hit obviously presents an opportunity to do that and go against, go for players like Elanga and Gibbs White that a lot of people aren't gonna have. I want to attack these last 10 game weeks more to try and club up the ranks, but you do feel like it's a bit of a precarious position. If you're like 1 million or like 1.5 million, you almost certainly going to make it worse, but you kind of got to go for it a bit more. Well, exactly. You might make it worse, but what does it really matter? Whereas at 500k, it still almost feels like if I play sensibly and well, I could still push up into 200, 100k. Whereas I could end up slipping back down to 1 million, 1.5 if it goes wrong. So, 48 points in a mini league. Andy, what point would you start making?
Look, you've got a big blank game week, you've got 3 double game weeks, you've got more than enough chance to do it. I mean, it depends how engaged the top 3 are, whether they've already used their free hit, all that kind of stuff as well. But as I said on Twitter at the beginning of the week, if you're using your free hit this week, you can't go too wrong with a lot of the picks you're going to make, and you're going to have 11 over other people. Mark's just said you're already potentially going to be 14 points up on a lot of people that aren't free hitting. So I think just be sensible with your picks, and like you said, if you want to go a little bit different, do it on the 3rd striker position or the 5th midfielder position. Don't go crazy on some of the others. But I think as long as you've got those, as long as you've got Son, Watkins, players like that, I think you're fine.
I mean, if anyone knows about clawing back to a respectable rank, it's Mark Southern's last year, going from 3.3 million at game week 25 to what?
That wasn't
just outside the 100k.
That was ripping things up to get there, wasn't it?
How'd you do it, Mark?
Well, captaincy's key, right? So we're going into a phase of the season where Salah's going to be back and Liverpool are going to have to win every game to keep pace. I think you just back Salah, don't you, and go against Haaland. I think that people find it hard. The masses will find it hard to bet against Haaland, particularly in home games. But Salah's got good fixtures. He's coming back into our teams in 30 or 31, I'm sure. You just go Salah captain every week and hope that comes out on top. And it easily could, couldn't it? Yeah. Easily could. I mean, Haaland obviously is a machine. I wouldn't say he's been on the blink, but, he hasn't... I think Salah could easily outscore him between now and the end of the season. No question. No question at all. And are we going to sit here and say, I'm going to captain Salah every week? No, we're probably going to sit here and play safe and put it on Haaland. But Liverpool have got to win games. They can't afford to drop points. And as I've said many times, City are the kind of team who manage out games. They go 1 or 2 up and then manage it out, see out time. Liverpool don't. Liverpool... like Arsenal of late, will go for the 3rd, 4th, 5th goal. So I think that's what you do. That's got to be a ploy, isn't it? You just captain Salah week in, week out, stick to it and hope he outscores Haaland, because you will catch a lot of your rivals by doing that.
I think two things are. One, it still amazes me how quickly you can still gain the ranks, even though we're 10 weeks before the end of the season. I mean, I had an 80k rank rise this week with a -4 and a pretty template front 7. and none of my actual like differential players doing anything, and still managed to go up, you know, 10%, climb up to 10% of my rank. And my biggest rank increases this season have been, like you say, just little decisions going right. A Watkins captain over someone else when he got like 17 points and he wasn't really like the favoured captain. You know, this week if I'd gone for Garnacho over Foden, I think that was a potential like little thing that I could have done. You know, back against, looking at the fixtures, backing against teams with good fixtures. It doesn't always work. Like look at Gabriel. Was it Gabriel against Liverpool earlier when everyone benched him and he scored in that game? There's always going to be, you know, little times when it doesn't work, but that's the kind of tweaks that you need to make. I don't think like going for the rest of the season without Saka, for example, because he's like 60% owned. That's just always going to turn around and bite you. No. But trying to just take it game week by game week and looking for little tweaks. That's the way to do it. Good. We've had 2 super chats. Davies family, I'm going to come back to your super chat in a bit. You're pinned with David Toft on my screen, so we'll come back to those at the end of the stream. Give me 1 sec. Okay, player data. So this is kind of summarising everything that we've just been talking about. This is all the players essentially with a game, kind of going forward. Some interesting things there, isn't there, Mark, that you noticed when you put this table together?
Yeah, I mean, when you compare the season 1 to the last 6, I mean, what's key here is the points per 90 and the correlation of the top 10 for points per 90, but the correlation with XGI non-penalty per 90. If anyone ever doubts that XGI non-penalty is a good indicator of players to get, well, this would indicate how strong it is, because, you know, it's only really Adebayo who is outside of that, who's not shaded in yellow there for XGI non-penalty, who's in the top 10 for points per 90, who's not in the top 10 for XGI. So
that is, yeah. You know, Andy wouldn't understand this because his research brain just isn't quite there, but, you know, what? Everything else.
Where'd that come from?
I don't know. He obviously hasn't paid. He hasn't paid for your top tier membership, Andy, and seen what you do there. You know,
I don't want to know what I get from the top tier membership with Andy's community. Oh my god!
You get most of that for free, mate.
Exactly.
No, but it is interesting, isn't it? How the correlation is there. You know, it's quite surprising. The names aren't surprised. I guess Wood is. I mean, like 7.19 points per 90. We picked him out earlier. You know, if we think he starts, then yeah, based on points per 90, based on XGI per 90, he's certainly a strong bet. In Mbumo and Richarlison, we can perhaps count out of this. Maddison is strong here, there's no doubt. But this is season data. We go to the last 6, and if we take the XGI non-penalty per 90 is a good indicator and something to go with, then when you look at the last 6 data, it's really interesting where Paqueta is, right?
Yeah, I mean it's very, very high, as we showed in the tab before, but he's second over the last 6, so 0.72. So this is trying to find that player whose recent data is then going to push him up into the top points per 90, because I mean points is all we kind of really care about. Bailey's stats are still really good, but he's not in the top 10 for points per 90, but it's still encouraging. We've had a few people talk about Muniz as well. He's up there, 0.6, and he's got the points per 90 to back it up.
Iwobi we haven't mentioned, have we?
Iwobi could be a punt. Yeah, not seeing him in many teams. Ilanga is there as well in 6th, which is encouraging. 0.61 for Ilanga is really high. But yeah, Paqueta is the standout, because at the moment the XG non-penalty per 90 isn't really translating into those points per 90. But is it going to happen?
But the pens as well, and Villa should concede. So he's effectively, I think, he's not going to get the X-Mins that Gibbs White gets, but I'd still think it's worth it. I mean, for me, he epitomises the kind of pick that I want to go for in the free hit, in that not many teams are going to have him who aren't free hitting, and even free hitters probably won't go there. They'll go Kudos and Bowen. But I think that the recent data suggests that, you know, he's definitely worth a shot, and you know, and it really just confirms Elanga for me as well.
Yeah, Andy, anything to note from this? Any surprises?
I mean, it's Muniz. I've been really in my head like Tony and Muniz. It's where I go, and obviously Muniz is only 4.5 million, and I'm just looking at it and thinking all the data's obviously with him, but then I've got to keep thinking in the back of my head. Obviously, Tony's fixtures have not been kind, but he is 30th in this table. So yeah, I have looked at it quite a lot, and I've obviously been using FPL Team, and I saw Peter in the chat earlier. I do think I would use Tony more moving forward, but he's obviously 1 million more than Solanke. whereas Muniz could free up those funds moving forward for those players that I want. For instance, it could mean I get Foden back earlier. So, yeah, I think Muniz is a really good shout. It's just whether I want him over Tony more. But, being 8th on this table, the stats he's got, he's showing up.
For you as well, Sheffield United in 30 as well.
Yeah, I know. Sheffield United in 30. I mean, he could potentially have a blank. That's the other thing. But then that's in 34 when I might free hit anyway. So, yeah, I don't mind him at all. I think he is a really, really good shout. And like I said, he's definitely showing it on the pitch, and his stats are very good.
Yeah. Just to be clear, for anyone listening on the podcast, what we're showing is the player list of all the players with a fixture this week, and they're looking at their XG non-penalty per 90, and the top 10 on this list. So this is the players who recent form indicates they're the most likely really to get kind of attacking returns. Watkins, Paqueta, Willian, Richarlison, if he plays, Bailey, Elanga, Iwobi, Muniz, Son and Werner. And what I like about that list is there are different players on it. This isn't all the non-free hit. Like, it's not Morris and, players. Like, Bowen isn't even in the top 30 for player data over the last 6 with the players that are playing. And we think with such a small bunch of players, the player who's got 14 goals this season is really surprising. I mean, Paqueta over Bowen, Mark, is that the play?
I think so for 1 week. Why not? I think Bowen's definitely the long-term pick, and any content creator or model will pick out Bowen as the one to go for over 3-4 game weeks. But for 1 game week when Paqueta's shown form and he's on penalties, I think it's, for me, like I said at the top of the show, I want to take 2 or 3 low-level risks, and I think Paqueta over Bowen or Kudus over Bowen would be the way to go.
Yeah, very good. Nice. Let's take a look at our predictions then. Nice and short and sweet section. This one, we've all gone for no clean sheets across the 4 games. I thought that was interesting. We've all gone for a lot of goals as well, like in general. I've gone for a 2-1 Brentford against Burnley, which is the same as Andy. Mark, you've gone for a 2-2 thriller.
Yeah, I think so. I think that, as I say, must win for Burnley. Brentford have got goals in them, and that Burnley defence is there to be shot at. But I think Burnley get a couple of goals. So, hence why Fofana's on my mind. So, yeah, 2-2. I'll go for that.
Nice. Andy, anything to note with that?
No, not massively. I think Burnley are there to obviously be shot at, so I think that's why I've gone for the 2 goals. I just think Burnley every week, I keep thinking, this is the game, is the game, and every week I'm like, no, they still haven't shown me what I think they're going to do to survive. I think they'll do really well in the Championship again next season, but I just think they're struggling every game.
It's crazy how they've gone up with was it record points under Company?
Yeah, but it was a young team, exciting team. They lost a few on loan as well, didn't they? Because they had a few on loan last year. Like Ian Martson was there, wasn't he? And obviously he's at Dortmund now.
A lot of the players though they came up with, he hasn't stuck with. He's bought. They spent a lot of money in the summer to replace them, and it hasn't delivered. So
I think he'll still be there.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, that's how I know. That's where I got that fact from. Yeah. That he's ran on Jews.
I think he'll still be there next year, but every week I expect maybe Burnley might show us, and they don't seem to be doing it. So yeah, I think Brentford will do it.
Yep. Luton Forest, Mark. I think you're the one everyone cares about with this one. You've gone for a 3-1 Forest.
I have to.
Very hopeful.
I just think we'll have too much of them. I think with their injuries, that's key. If they had their full 11 out, it'll be a tougher game for Forest. But I think we've got to show it, and all the data suggests that we're the stronger team of late. They're conceding a lot of chances. They will cause us problems, definitely. But I just think, they're there for the taking. We've got a lot of our injuries have cleared up. We've got talent up top that I think will cause them problems. And I think we'll come good and win this 3-1.
Yeah, I've gone for a 2-1 Forest. Andy, you've gone for a 2-2. That's no wonder Mark's been so horrible to you tonight.
Yeah, 2-2. I think it's going to be goals. I think they are, and I don't
2-2
know
before, wasn't it?
I don't know whether I completely trust Forest. Like, everybody's obviously going in on them, but I don't know whether I trust them that much. So I'm going to go 2-2.
Still, 2 goals would be pretty good.
In FPL,
surely we're going to get something from Elanga and. Someone just asked what the Garden Centre game is. I haven't done a Garden Centre game for this. Every game's important.
Game week 29.
Every game's important for 29. I've gone for a 2-1 Forest in that one. Yeah, I think just it's going to be one of those Forest mids that does well, or would, and I'm probably only going to have one. And I'm backing it to be Elanga, but it could easily be any of the 4. Fulham Spurs, I've gone for a 3-1 Spurs, which is the same as Mark. Andy, you've gone for a 3-2, back in your potential new boy Muniz.
Yeah, potential. Yeah, I mean, with Van der Ven out as well, I think Spurs, they're not exactly a team that keep clean sheets regularly. Their defence has looked a little bit better since Van der Ven came back, but obviously if he's out, I mean, we've seen it. His recovery is ridiculous, and I think they struggle against teams that have a bit of pace. And I think Muniz could do well. I think Iwobi's been good. I think there's been a few of those players for Fulham. I expect there to be a lot of goals in this one. If you were saying, which game is going to have the most goals, I expect it to be this one.
Fulham are a funny team, aren't they? Because they beat us 3-0. They beat Manchester United. They beat Arsenal earlier in the season, didn't they? 2-1. They beat Bournemouth, who were flying high at the
beat
time.
Us.
Yeah, and then they go to Wolves, and I kind of thought they might get something from that, and they lose that game. They lose that game 2-1. They're decent at home though. I do think they are a decent side, but I just think Spurs have got just a bit too much for them going into this. But yeah, Son is going to be very, very heavily captained. And yeah, it's a bit of a shame there's not really kind of a massive standout other than him. West Ham Villa then, we've all got a different result here. I've gone for a draw, 2-2. Mark, you've gone for a 3-2 Villa. It's going to be someone said that should be the Garden Centre game. No chance. It's going to be a 3-2. Landy, you've gone for a 2-1 West Ham. So you're back in the home team. That's the only home result any of us have backed. Only home win any of us have backed.
And that's the only reason I did it, because to go for a weekend in the Premier League where all the away teams win, I was thinking, no, there's got to be a home team here that wins somewhere. And I was looking at them and thinking it'll probably be West Ham out of all of them. So, yeah, I've gone West Ham myself. Yep.
But you think goals in this one, Mark?
Yeah, I just think Villa have got the motivation. They will concede goals. It depends how badly in the beginning the suspension affects them. If they have to play Diaby, maybe they'll be more attacking. I don't know. I just think there's goals here. I don't trust either defence, and I think there's plenty of attacking talent on the pitch.
Yep, nice. So looking at captains, this is the kind of the captain conversation. Like I said, Son is overwhelmingly favourite, and his stats are pretty decent. He's got the highest points per 90 over the season out of the likes of Watkins, Bailey, Maddison, Bowen, Muniz, Visser. It's Watkins though, points per 90 over the last 6, which is the highest, and he's got the highest XG on penalty per 90. We are a bit concerned about Watkins' minutes with the gash leg, but was there any consideration to captain Watkins, Mark, given what he's done all this season?
Yeah.
Overlooked? I haven't seen anyone with Watkins captain.
No, like I said, I've tipped them for 3 goals, so he'll get something for sure. So I don't think it's a total slam dunk for Son. I guess it's just the midfielder, the penalties. That's what's in Son's favour over Watkins, right? So potential for a clean sheet point as well. There's marginal gains everywhere for Son over Watkins, I would say, with the extra points for clean sheets and midfielder and the pens. So I think that's fair enough. I think we expect Spurs to score at least 1 or 2 goals, the same as perhaps Villa at West Ham, but those factors just stack in Son's favour.
Is there any consideration for you to captain a Forest player?
Elanga, yeah. Elanga would be the one.
Over Gibbs-White?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I wouldn't do it, but I would if I was really tilting, if I was really going for it. Elanga would be the one.
Okay, yeah. Andy, any temptation for a differential captain?
Yeah, Tony. Tony is going to be my vice. Tony was the one that I was looking at.
It's going to be your vice. Wow, you really really going for it.
With set pieces in his locker and with penalties and against Burnley as well. Like we said, we've all expected Brentford to score a few goals. So he's somebody that I've been thinking about. But Son's so locked in for me in terms of his captain. So yeah, but Tony was up there.
It's so funny with Bowen, isn't it? Because I feel like this is a good game for him against Villa. With the high line, you've never seen them like teams like Newcastle have kind of battered them in this game. But you look at Bowen's season data and you think, okay, it's 0.45, that's okay. And then you look at his last 6 and it's 0.32. And I know he got the hat-trick against Brentford, but was that just a complete anomaly? I don't know what to do with Bowen. He's in my free hit draft at the moment. It seems risky to go without him, but the more we talk tonight, the less keen I am on him.
Yeah, well, none of the evidence we've seen tonight means, that we've listed a lot of players over him in terms of data. But he's an elite finisher. He's a very top-class finisher, I think. So he doesn't need good quality chances to score goals. For me, I think, like I say, I want to roll the dice. But if I was wildcarding instead of free hitting, I'd go Bowen for sure. But we're not. but it's one game week. So
if it makes you feel any better, I would love it if you went without Bowen. So as a non-free hitter, if you went without Bowen, I would love it, because the other two you're going to be picking are going to be so low owned. I'll be like, well, yeah, fair enough. But I would love it if you went without Bowen, because I'd love to own him, knowing that a free hitter hasn't gone with him.
Yeah,
that's all right.
It is tricky with the free hit, isn't it? Because you want to kind of take a bit of a pump, but you also don't want to get absolutely murdered if you take out a player who everyone's going to have, or that you owned kind of beforehand. It's
but like I said, right, if you've got Kudos or Paqueta and you don't get Bowen, what is Bowen going to get a hat trick without any assists or anything from Kudos or Paqueta? And West Ham going to? I mean, I don't know. I mean,
it's Paqueta, isn't it? I don't think you go Kudos over Bowen. I think if you're going to play the game, you go for Paqueta and back the stats. I think
so.
Yeah. Interesting. Watkins has returned 18-13. I think it was 17, because he got the big haul against Sheffield United, didn't he, in his last three away games from FPL Cowboy. Yeah, his away record is amazing lately. I definitely back him to get something against West Ham as well. Captain Matrix, this is what we can kind of look forward to. So Son versus Fulham this week obviously looks the most important one, but then Watkins, West Ham, Tony Burnley. You could go for Bowen, you could go for Maddison. I'm probably not going to do it, but you could do. There are options, but I mean, what do we reckon Son's EO is going to be this week? 170, 180%?
Yeah, you think so, with all the free hits as well.
Yeah, it's going to be high. We then go into game week 30, where if you haven't got Salah or a plan to get Salah, you're going to be worried, because they play us, and he'll be up against either Estupinan or Igor, which is maybe Lamptey will play on the left, but whatever happens, he's going to terrorise us like he did earlier in the season. Haaland's got Arsenal. You could go for a Spurs player, though. They've got Luton at home. That looks pretty tasty. Palmer as well, up against Burnley at home. So although you might feel like you have to go for Salah in 30, there is a school of thought that you can hold out for 31 potentially when there's a few more kind of fixture swings, and then back a Son or a Palmer in one of those games. But yeah, I'll be wildcarding next week. So I'm going straight out of a free hit into a wildcard.
Yeah, I might do as well. I mean, I'm going to play it in 30 or 31, I think. But yeah, I mean, we were talking earlier about how to push if you're trying to close a gap. I mean, going Palmer at home to Burnley as captain there over Salah and Haaland, and then in game week 31, you could go Saka at home to Luton rather than Salah at home to Sheffield United. There's the form that Saka's been in. And then game week 32, rather than back Haaland at Palace, you go Salah at United. We know what Salah's done at Old Trafford before. So I think there are game weeks coming up, looking at this, where if you needed to tilt and go against the top captain pick, the next best pick is really strong. So I think there's room there to take a risk.
So if you wildcard next week, are you both going light on the Arsenal and City because they're playing each other?
Yeah, I'd back against Saka for 1 week and stick with Son.
Yeah, City I'll probably go without. I mean, just have Haaland, right? So
yeah, maybe no Foden. The thing is, you need Saka back in for Luton at home in game week 31. So you got to have a way back to get him in.
It's going to be 30 or 31. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, I'm definitely going 30. That was one of the things of getting Kirkes. Also locks me into the 30 wildcards. Excellent.
Well, at least he got you the points.
I know. What a guy. What a guy. Absolutely. Andy, let's take a look how you're set up for 31. This is your team. You've got 9, but you're going to have 10 with a Tony transfer, right?
Yeah, so I've got Areola in goal, Udogi, Reguilon and Doughty, who are the playing defenders. Then Elanga, Bowen, Son is my captain. And then Morris and Watkins up top. So I was actually, it's a weird one because I was actually a little bit, not happy, that's the wrong word, but I wouldn't have minded if Watkins was potentially out this week, because Watkins to Haaland is my planned move in 3 weeks' time anyway. And I was thinking, actually, I could just do Watkins to Tony, only have 9, and then I keep Solanke, because Solanke's got quite nice fixtures. But it's Solanke to Tony, I think, is going to be my move, because I want that this week anyway. I want the 10 players, and then I want Tony moving forward. So, yeah, it's going to be Solanke to Tony, I'm pretty sure. I haven't made the move yet, but I think that'll be it. I'm actually quite happy with my team. I think I'm covering a lot of the bases that I need to in this blank game week. And looking at the free hits, there's not going to be a lot that I'm missing, to be honest, apart from a few double ups that people are going to have in midfield potentially. So, yeah, I'm feeling fairly good about it, I think. I don't think I'll miss out on a lot.
We need these wildcards to come in, Mark. big time.
Yeah.
The thing, he did wildcard last week, so you'd expect his team to look fairly decent. So it's like,
Well, yeah, but there was a point where Reguilon and Watkins could have been out, and all of a sudden I was thinking, God, I'm going to be struggling here. So we'll see. Also with the Langer benched as well. That was the first thing I saw after I wildcarded.
You panicking in the chat.
So yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes. I'm pretty sure it'll be Solanke to Tony. I don't feel amazing losing Solanke, because he does have some really nice fixtures moving up. So he's got, Everton at home, Crystal Palace at home, and then Luton away. And those fixtures aren't awful. They don't get an awful lot of penalties, but he's been very good this season. So yeah, I do think that's my move, because I can't lose Morris or Watkins. I can't lose any midfielders, and I don't want to spend any money losing defenders. Because what's the point in taking a -4 when I don't think there's going to be any clean sheets? So I think that's my only move I can make.
What's your Salah plan then?
Bowen to Salah in 30.
Right, and you leave it
so
there.
I've still
Just the one Liverpool.
Yeah, so I've got 13 mil to do that, and then Watkins to Haaland in 31.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah,
Would
and that'll be with 1 million. That's a 1 mil buffer.
What do you make of it, Mark? What do you make of the wild card into this game week plan? You think it's going to work out?
I mean, it wasn't for me. I just like setting up for. I mean, I'll probably go in strong with 3 Liverpool if I play it in 31, because they'll have that Sheffield United game. I'll probably go in with Darwin and Salah and a Liverpool defender for that game, which is, Andy can't do that. So that's whether or not that's going to be an advantage. I don't know. We'll have to see. When we've done that before, haven't we? Gone in hard for a team in an easy fixture and it's not worked out. But that's appealing to me if I play it in 31. So my plan would be to get Salah in. I'm probably going to get Salah in for 30. Find a way of doing that. But if not, then I'll wait a week and get him, not have him for the Brighton game, and get him with the wild card in 31.
Yep.
But I think, I mean, it's beautifully set up. You'd expect that, like, when he's played the wild card before. And you've been lucky, I guess, that the injuries didn't fall badly. It could have gone wrong.
Imagine if Watkins are out. Oh, God. And then Langer.
You must have been worried with the Bowen and Watkins playing last night that they were all going to come.
Imagine if you had to free hit.
Well, the thing is, my team before the wild card, I didn't have Palmer, so that would have been a big one. There was quite a few I didn't have.
Yeah.
I had no doublers. I would have been on a -8. I was worked out beforehand because I wanted to make sure I knew what my team kind of would have been. I would have been on a -8. I would have gone Neto and not Zabarnyi. So I would have really struggled because I didn't have Doughty. I only had Solanke. So I needed to do it in my eyes.
Probably about 30, 40 points then, that wild card.
Exactly.
Yeah, done well.
Week 1,
yeah.
What we need is some kind of model to tell us when to play our chips. That's what we need. But,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's I'm happy with it.
It's iRobot, isn't it? AI robot. That's what the future FPL is going to look like.
But we push back against
the start
that.
Of the Terminator movie.
We're the unoptimal human face of FPL, basically. So.
Yeah, it's all right when you're 11k, not when we're both 2 million, like we were earlier in the season.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at our free hit drafts then. This is what I've put together at the moment. So yeah, I mentioned Sales in goal. I don't know what I'm going to do with that goalkeeper spot. There's no one that I particularly like the look of. It's Doggy, Reguilon and Doty with my mate Coutinho on the bench, who I really want to try and find a place for somehow. I think it would probably be Doty who I'd lose out of those 3, unless I went for Flecken in goal, and then just have the one Brentford, and then went for Coutinho instead of Reguilon, and just I don't know what I'd be hoping for in that game, a 0-0 or I don't know, not too many defenders. Then it's Son, Bowen, Maddison, Elanga, Bailey, Watkins, and Tony. Nothing too exciting there, but I'm pretty tempted by Paqueta over Bowen.
You got Bailey as well. I'm gonna have to get Bailey back in.
I just look at those stats and I think he looks pretty good. And if he is up against Creswell, I like that matchup. Fofana's on my bench though. I really want to find a place for him, but I just think the other options is Bowen. Really, but I want to have one West Ham player, and I think out of the 3, Kudus, Bowen, and Paqueta, I've already ruled Kudus out. Would I play Fofana over Bowen or Paqueta? I don't think so. But yeah, Gibbs White is someone that I want as well, but there's not really any room at the end for him either, which is why I've just gone for Elanga. So yeah, few spots up for grabs. Porro versus the Doggy, goalkeeper, and then Bowen versus Paqueta and Bailey. They're the ones. So good go. different ways, I guess. And Vitinho, of course, might come in. Mark, your team. Do you want to go for it?
At the moment, this will change, I'm sure. Fleck and the doggy, Reguilon, Doherty, Paqueta, Elanga, Son, Maddison, Gibbs, White, Tony and Watkins.
Pretty
and
similar.
Bench, Areola, Wood, Consa, Digne. Yeah, I mean, it's Wood or Fofana, but they'd be on my bench. I think you've got to go 5 mids. Because, I want to get Bailey back in. Who do I move out, though? Is it Gibbs White? Is it Maddison? Is it Paqueta? It's not going to be Elanga or Son. So there will be a change coming to this. I don't think I'll change the front two. Wood could change to Fofana, though. But
on the bench,
back three, I think it's fine. Yeah.
Oh, you two are wild, aren't you? Vice captains and bench players. Whew, steady.
I know. You just mentioned him a bencher, mate. Vitinho, come on. Get him in that 11.
Yeah, Vitinho's got to come in.
Yeah, I mean, there's not too many risks here, is there, to be honest? I think having the 2 Forest, maybe having a doggy over Porro, Paqueta over Bowen, it's not super risky by any means. I mean, the Reguilon, Fleck and Doherty thing is standard. A doggy for Porro's standard, I think. So I'm disappointed myself, really. I think I might spice it up a little bit before deadline.
Shane McDonald's new round here. I joined thinking you must have finished half an hour ago. Surely they can't do 2 hours when there's 4 fixtures.
Pip said to me, I said, I'll see you in a couple of hours. She said, what do you mean a couple of hours? What podcast are you doing? We're doing BlackBox. She said, do you do 2 hours? I'm like, yeah.
Where's she been for the last 4 years?
Well, she normally goes to bed before I finish because we're so late.
Pip only just realised that it takes you 2 hours.
She said to me, who listens to you for 2 hours?
That's so funny.
Outrageous.
That is so funny. Black Box Leagues, let's take a quick look at these. I'm only 4 points behind Liesel now. I know Craig's in the chat. I'm gunning for Liesel, Craig. I'm only 4 points now. She didn't have the best week, just 50 points. Ryan's had a good week though. He wildcarded, similar to you, Andy, and got a good score with 72. He's still quite a way off Mark. Let me just make this screen a bit bigger so I can actually read the names. Sandeep Jaswal is top of the Black Box League.
Number 1 in the world.
1954. Amazing. Richard Smith in second. John O'Shea in third. Joe Cassidy in fourth. Seamus H in fifth. LVT in sixth. Christian Larsic in seventh. Kevin Prendergast in eighth. Matt Lovett in ninth. And Mike Dobson in 10th. All with very good weeks as they continue to do well. A lot of those names we're seeing week after week. Looking at the Godfather tier league, and if you are interested in becoming a Godfather tier member, check out the description. You won't get access to Andy's new community. No, unfortunately, that is a separate
exclusive offering.
For more details to come on that, I'm sure. But in this, Richard Smith is top with 1908. Conor Gray in second, Pratik Panti in third, Tom Gold in fourth, Avi Proctor in fifth, Nick Baker in sixth. Mr. Mark Southerns has slipped down to seventh.
Still there, still in the top 10.
Clawing his way into the top 10 still. Actually, it's a pretty unlucky drop down to seventh because you're level on points with Nick in sixth. I guess he's made fewer transfers than you. Nathan Joblin in eighth, Crust is in ninth, and Stuart Thompson in 10th.
I'd be 10th now. Hello.
Would you?
Take that. Yeah, I would. Yeah. 1774
for just the small price of $8.99 a month. You too could be in the Godfather tier league.
You too could be 10th in the league.
Shout out to Fest as we're doing kind of every week. Obviously, great events. It's on the 16th of August. It's in Vauxhall, not in Waterloo this year. It's in Vauxhall Food and Beer Garden. It's going to be a great event. Get your tickets in.
Early bird are gone now. Early bird sold out.
Gone. Oh,
yeah, 200 early bird tickets gone.
There you go.
But still tickets
there
available.
Nice.
Yeah, and it will all be there, won't we? All three of us are going.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely. Yeah. We haven't even got to do a live podcast this year, Mark. We can actually enjoy ourselves.
Well, you didn't want to do that, did you? So you
don't make me get the texts out. Don't make me get the blackmail folder out.
Well, you would like, oh no, we want to enjoy this. Not we don't enjoy doing the book, but you can't relax,
the texts are coming out after this. I mean, you're not wrong, but it was very much off the back of what you said. Yeah.
I said, do you want to do a live podcast?
No, you did not.
I'm sure
no,
I did.
You did not. You wait.
Don't open the Pandora's box of WhatsApp.
Wait, you've opened it. You've opened it with that. It's a really, really good show, as always. We've got 2 super chats to deal with before I can let you both go. Let's take David Toffs. First of all, so the more specific super chats we leave at the top. Still got Hwang and Haaland to have Salah and Solanke in 30. Or Saka and Solanke to have Haaland and Diaz in 30. That is a cryptic thing that's hurt my brain. 400k in the world. Option 1 means Salah captain over Son in 30 to chase. Go on, Mark, dissect this one.
Okay.
That is,
I can't really work out what he.
That is
It's difficult, isn't it, to work out? I mean, Hwang and Haaland to have Salah and Solanke in 30 feels better to me. You know, a few are going without Haaland into that game week. Hwang's got the injury, of course, and will be out. I'm not sure obviously Salah's got Brighton. I'm not sure on Solanke's fixture, but I think it's good. I mean, Andy was saying I think he's got a good fixture in 30, hasn't he? So for me, yeah, he's home to Everton.
The best options there are surely Salah and Solanke in 30. So whatever helps you get to that is...
Yeah, exactly. That's what I think. So I think it's Hwang and Haaland to Salah and Solanke.
Andy's just staring blankly at the screen trying to work out this.
I am. Yeah. I mean, Salah captain obviously sounds nice, but like you said, Salah and Solanke I'd want for 30 and 31. Haaland you can go without until 31.
Yeah.
And Saka you can, because obviously they play against each other. So, yeah, Salah and Solanke, and then...
You need
Salah
Saka for 30. You need
good.
Saka for 31, don't you?
You do.
So you wouldn't be selling Saka because it'll be immediately needing back for the Luton game. So, no. First one, Hwang and Haaland.
I agree. Yeah. And then this is from Davies Family First. Already have Son, Watkins, Doty, Barkley, Morris and Taylor. What are your thoughts on a -8 for 9? That'd be getting Bowen, Tony or Mads, Maddison captain, or a -12.
When his profile picture came up, I thought it was the Eye of Sauron to start with. And I just really look at it. It's a sunflower,
It says a lot about you. That says a lot about you.
It does, yeah.
So basically here, -8 for 9, a -12 for 10, or would you free hit in that situation? I wouldn't free hit if I had... So he's got 7, right? 7 already. So you could have 8 for a -4.
Yeah, but I would free hit.
No, he's
got... I mean, 3 of the players he's got are Barkley, Morris and Taylor. I wouldn't take a -8 to boost that to 9. I would be free hitting.
Yeah, I think I would as well. I'm assuming he's got 6 because he's got 3 transfers to use.
Oh, is it 3 transfers to use? Okay. Well, yeah. So you do 1 then. So if you've got 6 with 3, then you can get 8 with a -4 though. I'd do that.
Yeah, I'd probably go 8 with a -4, but then, you know, like I say, Barkley, Morris and Taylor aren't at the top of the list of players. So he's got 3 Luton players going into that game. Might not be bad, but he's really heavy relying on Luton to
well,
pull
you
any
would
stops.
say.
Wild card.
Imagine if he free hits, gets a load of Forest players and Luton win 4-0.
And Luton win 4-0. Well, yeah, I'll give them the money back. Well, oh no, I don't charge, do I?
I don't know how much a 35 star is.
Don't know.
Unfortunately, but
what's that?
Hooky09 says, thanks for joining Mark and Andy.
Hey, Friday night is your slot. I'm happy to be here. It's Black Box only in name.
I think going back to that, I would free hit that. I think so.
I think I would as well.
I wouldn't.
Yeah,
I'd take the -4. There you go. Do you
Okay.
want to go with the 2 who are ranked in the top 50k or the one who's ranked 571?
I am biased, obviously. I'm not going to say, go into the game with 3 Luton players. I think that is obviously hard for me to digest. But Taylor as well at Burnley, I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right, lovely stuff. Thank you everyone for watching. Like I said, we had about 1,500 people watching solidly throughout. So if you enjoyed it, do like the stream. Drop us a comment as well. Let us know your free hit teams, or if there's any players that you're considering that we've either talked about or not really mentioned. In this, we'd like to hear about it. Listening on podcast, give us a review as well. We really appreciate all those. But yeah, Mark and Andy, great stuff as always. We'll be
normal
back again
game
soon.
week. Game week 30. Nothing irregular about game week 30, is there? No blanks, no doubles, no Bournemouth and Luton investment.
And weeks after international breaks are always normal.
Yeah, there won't be any issues at all.
No problem at all. Yeah.
Cheers for
having me.
We
might be wildcarding. We might be wildcarding us. Yeah.
I'm definitely wildcarding, definitely.
You're wildcarding in 30?
I will be wildcarding as soon as the deadline hits tomorrow. I'll be pressing
there you go. We'll have that to feast on.
Your last one went really well. So
2 weeks of abuse from you two. Can't wait.
Wow.
Lovely stuff. Have a good weekend, everyone. We'll see you all very soon.
See you later.
Cheers.